What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bingetown TV and our coverage of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time. So this is episode 2, Strangers and Friends. And before we get into the actual episode discussion, I have 2 things I want to discuss. First is going to be a shout out to Darwin Núñez and Liverpool. And then the second one is going to be that the best way to support us, if you would like to do so, you don't need to do so right now. More than happy to let you enjoy the episode, see if you like it or not, and then subscribing, whatever you're listening or watching on, just the best way to stay up to date with kind of what we're doing. We're kind of all over the place in terms of drops. We have no schedule. We just kind of
really busy.
And we're also super busy. We're covering like 2 shows right now, so we're like super duper busy. But we just cover a wide range of stuff. I'm sure, if you like Wheel of Time, you'll like some of the other things that we've covered. So best way to stay up with us is just subscribing and then contacting us. If you want to chat, we do Twitter at Bingetown TV. You can DM us. And then Discord, there'll be a Discord link, I believe, in the episode description. And there is one in our Twitter bio. So you can just chat with us about Wheel of Time and other shows, TV, movies, all that kind of fun stuff. All right. Now getting into us talking about this actual episode, what you are here for. Like I said, episode 2, Strangers and Friends. This is a chock full episode. There is a bunch of shit to talk about. We will see how long this takes us to get through everything. We got a lot of lore drops, information, world building, character moments, character introductions. So without further ado, I don't even know if we just want to just jump in, right? We don't even want to give our overall takes on anything.
Jump right in.
Just jump in.
Dive on
first, in. And I guess an overview like we did in episode 1. We'll take all of the buckets, the storyline buckets on their own. So we'll talk about Rand and all of his scenes. Then we'll talk about Lan and Moiraine, all of their scenes. We'll talk about the White Tower, and then we'll talk about the Hunt for the Horn. So that's, I believe, our table of contents for this episode. So there it is up front. So Rand, we didn't get much of him in episode 1. We got 1 scene. We get a whole bunch of scenes here. He is opening our episode. And so we meet Rand. We meet Elayne, this mysterious woman that he's with, which was like, whoa, okay. I mean, we knew he fucked from season 1, but like, okay, goddamn, he moves on pretty quickly, I guess.
What do you mean?
He's having nightmares.
We're well aware of who she is. She's just Lizzie. She just moved, obviously, to the show, yeah.
It's just, do you think this is pre or post Tommy Shelby?
It's post. She's moved on. She's moved on.
He talks about
Shelby.
moving on from her her past.
Oh,
so
true. It's totally
Tommy Shelby. Yeah.
Many cycles of the wheel past.
Some dangerous guys. She's
boom.
Into.
It's all canon. Everything Netflix has ever done is Netflix.
Yeah. The Netflix Amazon combined cinematic universe.
Neither on Netflix.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, neither on Netflix.
Well, I guess, yeah, fuck it. All right. So we kind of get, in my opinion, 2 key pieces of information here is that Rand is having consistent nightmares, and now he's hearing voices in his head.
Yeah, that
no
was.
One has okay.
No, 100%, because I was not expecting the Dragon Reborn to still have these voices. Like, I don't know why. It goes with everything that they were saying. Every male that touches the one power eventually goes mad, and we kind of knew that rush going in. But for some reason, I just didn't think these voices were going to be there and even affect them as much as they are already. And I'm kind of like, I kind of want to rant a little bit. It's not really a rant, but I was a little disappointed because I thought at the end of season 1, he was like going away to train and he was like, let me figure this out by myself. I didn't know he was like hiding, and maybe he is training and they haven't like shown it or anything, but I thought he was going to try to be focusing on how to use it instead of like hiding from it. And that's totally just where I thought the show was going to go. So
but
I don't know.
How is that not exactly where it went based on the end of the episode? Isn't that what the whole purpose of him going to the asylum was to find Logain and learn?
Oh, no. I didn't know he did that on purpose. I totally thought that was all coincidental.
That fucking smirk on his face, that seemed like it was planned.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of it too. And also I feel like he, like in his head, he killed the Dark One. So like his mission, the mission part of it is over. He just now has to like live his life. And it's like living his life. And he doesn't want to be around the people that he loved or loves currently, because he, if things don't work out, then it'll be bad for them. I mean, that's literally the dream we open up with, is his nightmare is he's killed all of his friends. And I mean, I thought the sound and like the music in this episode was really, really good. They were really good with the dream sequences in season 1. It's nice to see that they're continuing that in season 2, because the dreams, obviously, as Moiraine said in season 1, dreams have power more than you know. It's a big part of the book, so it's nice that they're kind of nailing, in my opinion, these things.
Yeah, and I have some basic thoughts on just the Rand storyline. I mean, that was just a jaw-dropping moment when Celine showed up in that opener for me and Kyle, at least. She's amazing. I can't wait to see more of her, Natasha, in this season. She's going to be so good. But I originally thought what this storyline was going for, when we find out that Errol, Rand's friend that he's kind of taken care of, was a Blades Master in the past. So I thought he was doing what Paul was talking about in terms of sword training. Like, I thought he wanted Errol to teach him sword forms and how to use the Heron Mark blade a little bit better, until the end, when I thought that the whole flip reveal was that Logain was there, gentled, and he's like miserable. And then Rand kind of has that cheeky line, like, you know more than, or we have more in common, or whatever. So I'm thinking that this whole time Rand's in Cairhien, in this city, looking for some sort of mentor, because he's like one of the most, he's the only relatable person in the world, I guess, is Logain. But so that's where I think the storyline's going. But this is awesome, because this is all new stuff. Like, none of this is book accurate. This is one of the biggest divergence from the actual source material. And dude, I think Rand looks great. Like, his attitude, his body language, like who he's interacting with, how he's interacting, everything so far has been hitting with me. And it seems like episode 3 should mostly be about him, especially with that's how the episode ended and left off. And that's like the thing I'm looking forward to. But this was like a super interesting divergence from the book, and I'm here for it so far.
Certainly,
I
this
took it
rant.
as well, there's kind of, and I'm sorry, Dave, but like it's a little bit of both. Like, he's kind of, I don't want to say getting lucky, because like we'll learn that that's not necessarily a thing for Rand in this scenario, and in kind of the way that the mechanics of the world work, if you know, for lack of a better term. But it's kind of like Errol is teaching him sword forms,
right? So
like,
he's picking that
they
up.
They talk about it. So and he says, like, I'll bring my sword. I'll try to bring my sword again. So it feels like they've had, obviously, these conversations, these interactions. It's been months. So I think that's, I don't even want to say a cherry on top. It's just kind of like, that's been a great byproduct almost of this like long plan to get to Logain.
The drop of
the way I took it.
You know, Heron sword is just always so cool. And when he dropped that, because like now that obviously they probably fought together, and just getting any history on that is sweet. Also, right when he goes to get him out of bed, you know, Rand has the line like, never in my dreams, or I wouldn't dream of it. And Kyle, you were saying dreams have powers and stuff like that. And he's just waking up from that crazy dream. So it's a little cheeky bitch. So he fixes the horse. Is that right out of the book too, or is that just a random drop?
I was racking my brain trying to think of type, like, what symbolism that might be showing, but I came up completely empty. So if you're listening out there, anybody, and you have a take on it, please send it our way, because I came up blank.
It's Rand that knows about horses.
Matt
knew about horses.
Yeah, he's the horse trader with
he's
no
the
horses.
horse trader. Yeah. Yep. Just watched that episode with Alki.
Yeah. But just some important kind of, I guess, world building / lore, or I guess more that we get from Errol beyond the sword forms is just like we're getting this reinforcement, I guess, of like Rand looking like an Aielman. He talks about the Aiel War. Obviously, Errol's kind of, it seems like his mental condition, if you want to say, is he has some PTSD from that war. We're just kind of, you know, we're learning more that we're getting more reinforcement that the Aiel are really fierce warriors. The women in the Aiel culture are especially fierce warriors. And just like as a little callback to, I mean, everyone loved the cold open to episode 7, which is like, you know, presumably Rand's mom fighting in the Aiel War, and then Tam kind of comes up and saves her. He just like kind of stringing that together to episode 1. We learned that Bael Doman's from Ilion. In the fight, she's fighting people from Ilion. It's possible, obviously, that Errol was maybe affiliated with Ilion in some way. So they're kind of introducing these concepts. And while they're not giving us a map, we're still getting these reinforcements of like countries and factions, even though geographically we might not really know where the fuck we are at any point.
The Asylum, I thought, was an interesting like concept that the show decided to go with, just because I honestly, I didn't really expect to see this level of like, I don't know. I don't even know.
Mental health
like misery.
acknowledgement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess. And my first thoughts immediately were kind of like, maybe not immediately, but I was thinking to myself, like, what are all these people are obviously, they're a little crazy. They're all acting a little strange. The ones that are in the rooms and everything. And I kind of had this thought in the back of my mind that potentially maybe these are just like ex-gentled guys, and then it kind of got almost reinforced when we saw Logain at the end. Now again, I have no idea if that's the case here, and I'm assuming it's probably not because this, what's his name again? Sorry, the guy that Rand's with, the older guy. Errol.
Yeah.
He obviously seems more like a swordsman because when he is like falling over and he's like showing Rand like specific swords moves that kind of like dismissed it. But for me, I was just like, these guys are actually like, mentally decaying, and I just wondered if it was something to do with maybe all the Reds that have been gentling people and they just kind of gentle people, throw them in this asylum, and that would kind of explain why Logain's there as well. But that's just something that was thinking of. I thought it was a really cool take, though. I did not expect to see Rand putting himself here in this kind of position.
Yeah, it's just, just like Luke said, it's definitely a divergence from the books, but I like the idea behind it, especially like on the way there, we see like Rand walking through. We learn obviously that we're at the Four Gate, we're in Cairhien. We mentioned Cairhien last episode. This is where Bael Doman found that piece of Hearthstone / Gwendiar that him and Moiraine had that interaction with, and the poem itself. And I had said we were going to, we'll find our way to Cairhien because I had watched episode 2 at that point. So I was, foreshadowing a little bit. And then we see him walk and he's like giving that kid money. And like Yosha, the actor, literally said like he's read all the books. He's on a reread right now. And he said like he added that aspect in because he's like he wants Rand to like be like, it's obvious that Rand is like a good person. You know what I mean? That he's like he cares about like people, poor people, everything like that. I think that scene plus the fact that he's working in this institution while he has ulterior motives, I think does do that good like character building, character development on him.
Mm-hmm. So it's like justified for fucking beating the shit out of / almost killing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
And Podrick look like?
Yeah. I did.
Oh my God.
I honestly took this as he was just beating the shit out of him because he was a piece of shit, not because he wanted to take his spot. So, I respect this whole Rand storyline in beginning a lot more now that he wasn't just running away. I thought he was just trying to hide. The fact that he's making moves makes it way better.
It's a long hustle,
they kind of
baby.
they kind of beat us over the head with it a little bit with like the extra long stare that he's like watching Errol like give his credentials to the guy at the door, and then he gets like let into the courtyard. I felt like that was kind of them basically saying that this is what it's about.
Yeah, but there was no way of knowing what that was going to lead to.
Oh, I literally just took it as like this guy is just doing his job as well. Like he works with Rand at the asylum and he's just showing his credentials so he's allowed to leave. I legitimately did not think like it was implying that he had a specific job in the courtyard dealing with Logain. I just thought he was like checking out of the day's work. Like he bullied this guy and he's like, all right, I'm going to head home now.
Right.
I guess it was different for me because they had released a scene that will happen in the future of like a conversation between Rand and Logain kind of mentions like talks kind of about like motivations and motives and things like that. And I had seen that like because they released it as pre-content before watching this, so I kind of knew that like Rand was going to have a plan to do this. So I guess for me, obviously, I was coming with more information, I guess, obviously, than someone that didn't watch that pre-released content.
Can sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was going to change the subject. So
no, change it up then. Change it up, baby.
All right, I want to make a quick wild theory right now. Put it on the board. The little boy that Rand gave coin to in the very beginning when he was walking through the market, he's going to come back and he's going to help out Rand in a cool way. Or Rand's going to kill him in rage. And that's what's going to send him over the edge.
Wow.
He's going to kill him and he's going to be like, holy shit, I need to learn how to contain these powers.
I was like, okay, wholesome. I like it.
Two options. That was also
immediate murder.
Supporting the fact that Rand is a good guy in this village. He's giving coin away to this little kid that needs it, and then gonna murder.
I think
later.
that him giving coin to the kid also, I feel like, emphasizes just how corrupt the madness is that men can go through when channeling. So if he's really emphasizing the fact that Rand is like this wholesome, genuine person, no matter how wholesome and genuine are, even if you are the Dragon Reborn, you're still susceptible to, being overcome by this madness. So I like that extra touch.
And I mean, like it says in the beginning with Selene and him, they have a conversation and she's like, you're late on rent, but yet he's giving out his money to this little poor kid like that, just like we're just reinforcing this idea of Rand as like a nice person that helps people, I guess is the point. I like how the tortilla toss. I mean, I'm calling it a tortilla because that's what it looked like to me. But he's like, my friend, and then he throws it
every morning. That's great. I want that kind of rapport with someone one day.
Quick question on when he actually beat the shit out of the asshole later that night. I couldn't tell because I'm still new, but were you able to distinguish which weaves he was pulling on when he beat the shit out of him, or was it just like one big mess?
You mean like earth, air, spirit? No, not at all.
No, because they do a really good job, at least in the White Tower, when they're specifically healing two different colors and showing that combination of the weave. I didn't know if he can even control that at that point. I assume not. And it's just, I didn't know if it was like it was like the Avatar, like one element takes over, or if it's just like all five at once or whatever.
I feel like the other thing you got to think about this. The other piece of it too is that is the male half is corrupted. Like we know that for a fact. It's what makes everybody crazy. And so whenever we saw Logain channeling in the first season, it was covered in the black corruption. So I don't even think they're going to be able to visualize that, even if he was capable of separating it, because no matter what, anytime he's touching the power, it's going to be touched with corruption. So I don't know how they're going to treat that, if they're thinking about it as granularly as that. And I hope they are, just for our sake. But at the same time, like, I think it's just going to be probably black for the most part. Is what
it wasn't though, which was interesting. It didn't look to me. It looked like it was like
just
very gold and yellow.
You know I was just going to make that comment.
I would say my take would be that, like, at this point in Rand's, I guess you could say, channeling journey, it's just like pure like raw power output, almost like Nynaeve. Like when Nynaeve channels, it's literally just like a burst of like kind of like silvery light, pretty much.
Or like all five. Yeah,
and I kind of feel like it's the same for Rand at this point. Would be my take on that, of just like it's just like a power outburst. Like he didn't even mean to channel. He just like it just happened, and he fucking fucked him up a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's also I think was important that Rand runs away before Jan like coughs. I thought that was on purpose, where like in Rand's head when he comes back to Selene, like he thinks he killed him, but in reality he's not actually dead.
Oh, he's
like
not?
That just kind of feeds into...
Yeah, he moved.
He moved. Yeah. I was looking for that.
Just because he was moving then didn't mean
true.
he was about to die in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
okay.
I think that was on purpose.
I gotcha. And I was asking about that because I didn't know if there was going to be like specialties, like some Aes Sedai or magic users specialize in just air or just like earth or something, or spirit or something like that. And I didn't know if he was going to be one. But if all men are just corrupted, then that's awesome. And if that dude's dead, that honestly seems like more problems, because I guess he doesn't know it was Rand. He was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, no.
I don't think he's caught a glimpse
it won't
of that.
get you. And especially when you're in like the Foregate is like the little slums outside of the city. Like no one's going to fucking...
No, they had it on camera. They had it all on camera.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Cops the next morning.
But all right, we get a very vulnerable Rand, comes back to Selene. Clearly, I think they've been implying up to this point that they have never really had a physical relationship yet up until this point. She makes the comment like all these nights together, they all end the same. And then obviously, this happens. He's very emotional. He's on edge. And we kind of get to see the other side of the coin for Rand, when he's like very aggressive and violent with her in this scene. And she liked it.
I liked it.
Into it.
I think she liked it.
I was nervous.
We all liked it. Come on.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was nervous he was going to lose it for a second. And just to skip forward a little bit to the pillow talk, and when they're having the whole conversation of, I remember somebody else when I'm with you, and I can help you forget the other person when you're with me. Were any of you guys getting Magicians vibes at all when Quentin and some other actors, they do the potion to change themselves to make them look like the other person's ex?
Shit, yeah.
No, I was getting Tommy Shelby vibes the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not? Right?
It's actually really funny.
But that is a good callback, Paul.
What is her name? I know her name. It's like April Greenstreet or something like that.
April
I could be so wrong, but it's something like that. I'll find it.
I thought the dialogue was really well written for this scene. Maybe it's like cliche or something, but I don't know. I thought this was some of the better dialogue that they've written. It's just, I don't know. I just thought it was a really well done emotional scene, and we kind of do get a good like idea of where they're both coming from in the situation. I mean, Rand obviously starts the conversation with like, I don't want to hurt you. That's kind of, really informing us about his mental state. That's why he is in Cairhien alone, because he doesn't want to hurt the people that he loves. And now he's potentially wrapping himself up in another relationship, which is like classic, behavior. So yeah, And then
Emily Greenstreet. Emily Greenstreet. I was really close.
So
You
close.
were
So
close.
close.
Wow. And then like we've mentioned, this storyline kind of just wraps up with the fact that Rand now has the position that Jan had. He will encounter Logain Ablar in the garden, and he does the cheeky little line where I think we'll have more in common. So that's obviously quite the cliffhanger for his storyline leading into episode 3.
What a fucking banger of an ending, man. Holy shit. I'm so excited to see that interaction because as we're kind of talking through all this, I'm just in my head, I'm thinking, because Paul was bringing up, oh, does he know how to channel the different elements or whatever they're called? And I'm sure in his mind, he's looking for someone who can train him on how to wield that kind of stuff while at the same time also minimizing, I guess, the amount of madness that he experiences at the same time. So it only makes sense that I guess that he would come across Logain, and I'm sure he had this all planned out. He just seems like even in this, what has it been, 6 months that we said since he fought the Dark One. So it makes sense that he's just looking. I think he's just looking to also build upon his powers a little bit more while not overdoing it and fully succumbing to the madness. I just can't wait to see how him and Logain interact and how Logain actually, is handling himself well, because it's been, again, 6 months. So
he looks bad. He looks
terrible, but he hasn't, again, I guess it's a positive that he hasn't killed himself. So I want to just know a little bit more of his story on how he's coping a little bit.
I feel like if Rand ever reveals that he can touch the one power, which I assume is going to come up in conversation or something like that, I just picture Logain as like, come on, give me a taste. Give me just a little taste.
Yeah, probably.
Give me a little bit.
Y'all got any more of them channelers?
Yeah. And like, that's how he cooperates, is like, he just wants to like be in touch with the one power.
That'd be interesting. All right. Any final takes on the Rand story?
Dude, I was gassed the fuck up when I saw Logain, and I just should have known because I've seen the trailer. I know where this was going.
I sent you that clip.
But I don't care. I was living in the moment, and when that happened, I was so excited. Question for the Rooks is, how do you think this is going to go? Do you think Logain is going to be interested in doing this? Is there going to be some pushback? Like, how do you think, is this going to be a smooth relationship, rocky, antagonistic? Like, what is this going to be?
A great question, to be honest.
I feel like it's going to be rough in the beginning and then smooth out over time, hopefully. I could see Logain maybe going crazy and trying to like kill Rand, and Rand has to kill him back or something like that. But I assume they're going to work together because Rand needs the knowledge and Logain looks like garbage, and Rand can probably help a little bit.
I mean, I can totally see them going with Logain potentially going like the jealousy route. Like, oh my God, like, one, he still has the ability to channel. 2, this is the actual Dragon Reborn I'm looking at. Like, I don't know if jealousy would be in a factor, or if he's maybe a little bit envious and is like willing to teach him because he actually is the Dragon Reborn and maybe can sense his power within him. If I were to lean one way, I want Logain to be one of the boys. So I'm gonna hope he's on our side. Go ahead.
I want to add that in Logain's mind, you got to think that he thinks Nynaeve is the Dragon Reborn, right? Because I think that was the whole idea of like Moiraine saying to him, like, your power is great, but it's like a pin drop compared to the Dragon Reborn. And then he sees Nynaeve do the explosion before he gets gentled, and he's like, oh, and he repeats it as he's like crying, seeing how much power she has. So I think in his head, Nynaeve is probably the Dragon Reborn.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like that too.
I don't think I ever thought of that perspective. I don't know how much I agree, but that's definitely 100% my book reading bias. So,
I don't know. I feel like
I know. I'm just saying,
has to be how he thinks. Otherwise, that was a really bad scene in season 1. Then, because that just kind of says like everybody can be stronger than Logain. But I don't know.
My last comment about Rand is I brought this up to Kyle in our long car ride home from Luke's house after watching this. I was hounding Kyle with like 100 questions after the episode. I was just so into it. But this one I just want to throw out there. Rand in season 1, when Min is looking at all their futures, Rand is holding a child, and he actually looks how he looks right now with the shaved head. Not much, if anything, is literally the same age, if whatever. My only thought that I'm just going to kind of throw out there, and it doesn't have to merit a response or anything, but I'm just thinking, like, how soon after all this is complete is Rand going to have this child? Maybe that it was like one spin of the wheel where Rand has already beaten the Dark One and has his child at this point. But I can't help but think back to in season 1 when Rand is holding the child. He looks exactly the same as he does now.
But wait, the child?
No. Like Rand has the shaved
Uh,
hair and like dress attire is kind of similar.
Yeah, I think the child had like dark black hair, and I don't know if we can how much value we can put into that, but I remember us discussing that and saying like, is that not actually Rand's kid that he's holding? Because wouldn't his kid have like
I guess,
red
yeah.
hair, something like that? So, I agree though. I'm wondering when that is coming into play, but I'm also kind of viewing that with like if there's somebody else's baby that he holds and picks up.
Yeah, that very well could be the case, but it's just something I wanted to bring up again. Maybe it's a different spin of the wheel where he actually is the father there.
2 comments I'll make is that if I'm not mistaken, not like everything Min sees is like would be this spin turn of the wheel. And then the
Okay.
second one is that it's hard because in the books the visions are like way more metaphorical and like it's just like a symbol. Like,
So
you
it's
know, there's
you
there's
could
just
take it
you know,
like it's just in
yeah.
the future. He
It's
just has
just
a
like she'll
child.
just see like a drop of blood over someone's head, and it's like,
Okay.
okay, I wonder what that means. Versus this, like, feels very literal, but I don't know if it's because they're showing it literal, but it's actually going to be metaphorical,
Mhm.
you know, type of deal. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how they play out. They
Yeah, I
were
guess we
really
have more
fun in
to
the
that.
books. Yeah, they were really fun in the books, but like, I guess it would look kind of maybe too cartoonish if it was like the symbols stuff. So they went with more like literal things. We'll see.
Paul, just think Malzahn Deck of the Dragon readings, like so obvious in hindsight once you get the reveals, but like you can't like when you
Yeah.
hear them for the first time, the predictions that she gives, it means
Yeah.
nothing by design.
She throws out like them in like, you know, page 250 of the book, and then it's like the last
Mm.
chapter they happen, and it's like, well, I forgot
Oh.
about that, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's like some
Yeah, type of
serious
deal.
shit in The Witcher.
Mhm.
And my final comments will be just wanted to shout out the sword forms because they're great in the books. We get cutting the clouds, kissing the apple, I believe you said before it gets cut off. We get parting the silk and reaping the barley. The absolute number one classic one that we're gonna now keep an eye out for is Cat crosses the courtyard. That's a classic one. And then sheathing the sword is another one. That's I just remember off the top of my head. But Cat crosses the courtyard is a great one.
All right.
Spreading the silk and reaping the barley sounds weirdly sexual to me. I don't know what
Maybe.
that is.
It's all a dance. It's all a dance to death.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to move now into Moiraine and Lan's storyline. Their first scene opens up kind of the aftermath of the final scene of episode 1, which is that really good fight with the Fades. They've been healed. They're still kind of, you know, not back to 100%. And this kind of storyline it gives us a lot of information from like world prophecy level stuff. And it also, in my opinion, I loved how much it taught us about Varen. Varen's just like really, you know, I'm observational is the word that I was thinking of, but I don't know if that's the right word to say. She just is, you know, she's very observant about her surroundings. She deduces things very well. And also, I just love the way she kind of deadpan delivers things. So we learned in the first scene that she's coming with Moiraine. Obviously, Moiraine tried to sneak out. Now Varen, Adelaide, and Tomas are coming, and then her and Lan continue to have this fucking strife between the two of them.
And they're headed to the White Tower, even though that Moiraine has been exiled.
Correct.
I just have Airbnb hostess is now accompanying them on the journey.
I love that Varen is turning into an Airbnb hostess.
Yeah.
There's just a funny little thing in the background of Adelaide asking Lan if he wants to be healed more, because that means I guess she gets to touch him more. I thought that was funny.
Oh, I thought that was more of Lan just being like, oh, like don't waste your energy on me. I'll be okay. I'm a beast.
No, I thought it was she wanted to get her hands all on his body.
Okay. That's
the way I took it. But we just get another insult. Moraine's like, tell Tomas to fucking saddle my horse, you bitch, because I don't want to slip off my saddle. And he just like has to sit there and take it. Yeah.
So bad that he just like just had the conversation that he has to view her as somebody that's incredibly strong right now, and whatever she does is better than like killing herself. But like, holy shit, I'd be like, God damn, Moiraine, give me at least a little something.
Dude, Lan is just going through it with Moraine's shit right now. But I mean, you can't entirely blame her for what she's going through too. But can you be a little nicer to my boy? Come on.
Yeah. So we move on to just a scene that I'm sure we'll be talking about for a long time. I'm sure Luke loved this scene, but Moiraine and Varen just have a very interesting conversation on this cliffside overlooking the White Tower. We get some big high-level shit going on. Obviously, I mean, we'll just talk about everything, and then I'll sweep up, I guess, any missing parts at the end of our conversation.
Let me just start because I don't know if you guys noticed, but Varen is always, and we might have mentioned in the first podcast, but she's always wearing her color Aja. It's the brown Aja. And then later, I think in this episode, The White Tower, we get some drops of like what other colors are supposed to specialize in. And I don't remember, I don't know if they said brown, but
She said the
brown.
library. She said exploring the libraries with our brown sisters.
So knowledge, and that's pretty much defines Varen's character. Like has no EQ, like a no emotional like intelligence, and can't really read people that well. Is more just like objective, like Kyle's saying. So it's kind of funny when she says things. I don't know how much the character is going to lean to being uncharismatic on purpose, but that's kind of the vibe you get from the book. Like Varen is just like little bit loopy and just kind of like it's all about the rationality and not paying attention to people's emotions. And I thought she did a great job here, especially with just she's talking about like being the talking about the red philosophy and like basically coming at it as like a scholar and talking about the Dragon Reborn and saying, yeah, you can't just let the Reds just do what they want. They might just basically cut off our only chance at surviving this world. So she says a lot of good stuff here. And then another thing that she says that I was obsessed with was talking about the oath when she makes Moiraine say, "You're never going to betray me or the dragon," or whatever she says. And then Varen has a great line saying, like, I don't know the future, so I could say, no, I will not betray you, but like we don't know what the future has yet to come. So like you can't predict the future. And that's another way around the oaths and like kind of those loopholes because they can't physically lie. So a lot of good stuff comes from this. And yeah, Varen's just gonna be she's gonna be important every time she's on the screen, I would think. And every time she's talking, I would just listen up because she's dropping knowledge in some form.
She was awesome. So much cooler than an Airbnb hostess right now after all that shit.
She is the Airbnb. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No,
you're saying she's more than an Airbnb hostess.
Yes,
she's raising the bar for Airbnb hosts.
I thought you were mixing her up with her sister.
I'm not going to be remembering her for that anymore. I'm going to be remembering her for her knowledge and the fact that she was just like, hey, like an oath right now is just pointless. There's no point. But beyond that, when she was talking about how the tower has some books that could be helpful. I didn't get the first one because again, subtitles, but Prophecies of Toman Hand was my guess. Head. Ooh, even better.
Close.
It was a body part, so you were there.
Battles in the Sky, which is just, that's hype. And the Sword of Flame and the branded hand that wields it. Is that what you said? Okay, I put that in the board. I'm ready for that shit to go down.
Yeesh, dude. Holy shit. I didn't even catch that well until you just repeated that for me.
Yeah.
She's great.
I'm ready. And just Moiraine's reaction when Varen drops the knowledge that she knows she brought back the Dragon Reborn. Moiraine just grabs her knife. It's like, who else knows? Does Tom or does Tomas know? Does everybody else know? She's like, she's ready to just go murder everybody that knows. And that was the test. It was like, hey, I want to see how far you would go to protect them if you're going to be the one that helps lead the dragon.
Yeah, Varen, not that this I mean, she was definitely the highest riser for me in characters that I'm enjoying and liking from 1 to 2. I mean, I know that doesn't mean much now.
Is that a preview of an MVP pick?
Potentially, it's very potential. We'll see.
Right, we got a whole half episode.
Yeah, but she has been incredible. Like Paul said, that speech with her, with Moiraine, just confirming her drive for the Dragon Reborn was just really awesome to see. She did come across as someone who uses a lot more logic than emotion. But she still feels like emotional, like when she's talking to Moiraine, and she doesn't want Moiraine giving about too much details about her and how her and Lan first met because she felt like that would make Moiraine uncomfortable. But she's still very logical, and I've definitely been growing on her a lot in this spread of 2 episodes.
So good, Luke. You were talking about it though. How she was saying, our sisters want to cage the dragon and clip his wings, like they're blind. That was so cool. And then I have right at the end when she's talking about the books, and she's like, I will find them. I just have in parentheses like come. Like I just was like, oh, that's so cool. Because like I thought she was saying like, oh yeah, I'll tempt you with all this stuff. Maybe I can find them. But she's saying like, no, I know exactly where they are, and I'll get them for you. Like, hey, just come to the fire and be friendly. And Moiraine's like, fuck, guess I gotta go to the fire and be friendly, right? That's my only option.
A great part about this is that so in the second book, there's a conversation between Moiraine and Swan, the Amerlin seat, and Varen is there, and they're kind of like talking. Whatever, and Varen's like writing in a book, and then she literally just like says while she's writing, I'm pretty sure this is how it goes down. It's in this kind of vein of like, oh yeah, and like Rand's the Dragon Reborn, and they're both like, what the fuck? And they both like immediately grab onto the power and like, we're gonna have to fucking kill this girl right here. And then Varen just like, yeah, like it's whatever. She's just like very like, blase about it. It's really funny.
I was gonna bring it up because that's literally one of my favorite scenes from book 2.
It's really good.
This scene, like they attempt to do the same thing with the dagger,
the
didn't hit
there.
as well, but oh my god, in the books, when they just by reflex both grab the power, and then they're like, wait, like maybe it's not the dragon, and then Swan says to Moiraine, like, come on, we just grabbed the power. She knows, like, this is all out on the table right now, and then they continue with this sort of conversation, and it's in the same vein. You're right.
And then they kind of rope Varen in. Now she just has to be Ferda. Like you pretty much. That's why Moraine's kind of trying to make her swear the oath. Like it's nice now that we have more people on our side. Because I mean, in reality, there was 7 of us, 8 of us, counting Loyal. We're pretty outnumbered at this point, trying to fucking fight against the Dark One. So it's nice that we're adding Varen onto the team, and I guess by extension, Tomas, her warder. And just like another interesting thing, the Toman head and like the prophecy stuff, they kind of slap us over the head with it. Not that I think it was a bad thing. It's just in the books, it's crazy. Varen tells us them in the books as well. It's just that like the way we learn them is a lot different. The Padden Fane kind of like is imprisoned and like he breaks out of Faldara. That's kind of like the line of it. I can see people being upset, but like in reality, the changes they made, it had to kind of happen this way. I don't really care that much. I think more the fact that like we're getting, the Toman head, battles in the sky. I'm not totally, married to the idea that it has to come from the way it gave us in the book. The fact that we're getting it and we're going to get more of it, I think is more than enough for me.
Just curiously, can you like retire from being an Aes Sedai? Like, is Varen still okay? Like, all right, and then I'll follow it up with: is Varen still an Aes Sedai? Like,
her situation's a little different. This is she's been technically combined with another character. She's kind of swallowed up another character's storyline. So in the books, her and Adelaide aren't sisters. There's another character that Adelaide, but they're like twins, and those two are like on a sabbatical, I guess you could say, writing this, history of the world since the breaking that Varen mentions here. And then like Moiraine and Lan go to their villa and like study with them for a little bit of book 2, but they're just Varen's just kind of eating up part of that storyline, which makes sense. I mean, Varen seems like someone who would also be down to write that book. So yeah,
and the
retirement kind of like on a
thing,
sabbatical, basically.
The retirement thing is something that will be minorly explored at some point down the line.
I was just curious because it felt like these two were retired because like they just lived out here by themselves. They just had a quaint living style. I just wasn't sure if they still, work for the Aes Sedai or not. But it sounds like Kyle said, like their time is just mostly writing the history of the world. Yeah. So
and she has a great line of like, why would I want to write about history when it's being wrought right in front of me? Like she doesn't care about finishing the book now. Like it's literally happening in front of her. Like she wants to be involved.
Yeah, that was also a very hard line. I love that.
Yeah, which is badass.
Tomas used to bang. That was a nice little tidbit. He used to lay pipe down
all over this. My note was, Tomas was a fox. No surprise.
Yeah, hell yeah.
With that look, dude, with that old guy look, he was getting that.
The story of how Moiraine and Lan met, super awesome. She thought he was a dark friend. He thought she was a mercenary trying to come kill him. And, he baited her with the sword. As soon as she touched it, closed in the 10 paces and chucked her in the river. And that's a crazy image.
I read New Spring like 2 years ago, actually, like, while we were doing the season 1 podcast. And to my knowledge, this is pretty much exactly how it happened. I also like that they threw in the Chimera thing from Malkier. Like the fact that like that's like a custom. I mean, I guess you could say whatever you want about the custom, but the fact that they included this lore detail in, I thought was fun. That older women like purposely take young boys' virginities to like show them the ropes. It's a little, that's where Lan's coming from, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. So after kind of the fire, then we get more of like a one-on-one talk between Moiraine and Lan. They get a little bit of alone time. And it moves from, we start kind of reminiscing, and then we move to, in my opinion, borderline betrayal as Alanna arrives with her warders to lead Lan away to the White Tower while Moiraine is going to travel on her own. A lot of things are said. There's one small important detail that I'm sure everyone picked up on, but just in case people didn't, we'll talk about that as well. But just as always, the floor is just wide open.
I mean, the fuck is my comment. What the fuck, Moiraine?
It's the fucking, if anyone here watches or reads One Piece is like at least well into One Piece reading or watching, it's the Sanji Luffy moment. I mean, it sucked. I mean, hearing what Moiraine had to say right there was just absolutely painful. It was just nails on a chalkboard. Everything was just hitting Lan, and you could just see him just retreating every every word she was speaking, I felt so bad for him. But I'm also getting the feeling that, I mean, yes, she can never lie, but I just think she's lying. She knows. She mentioned it earlier with the story of how, or when she knew when Lan was going to be her warder, about how, he was unfazed by the beheaded Trollocs because she had known personally that he'd experienced way worse things and he would be capable of being on his own. And I think this is just her just saying things to make him go away, as like just piss him off, get him off her back. I don't think she means any of it, but it was just so painful to see. And Lan was completely wrung out afterwards. I felt so bad.
It's extra frustrating because he knows that's what she's doing. Like, he's under no false pretenses about what's going on, but he's legitimately powerless to do anything about it. I think that obviously, adds a wrinkle to it.
She's like doing a trope, and he knows she's doing a trope, and he tells her she knows he's doing the trope. So
yeah,
it's just
but he literally
insane
can't
just
stop
watching
it.
that.
Maybe the wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
So the note in Lan's pack, was that the one from
he stole the poem from her.
Okay. That's what that was.
Yeah. And I
Gotcha.
think I think we can infer that she probably knows it by heart at this point, so it won't be that detrimental to her that she doesn't have it. But obviously she'll know, I think, eventually that he took it.
I was like, was that a love letter that
No,
he got from
no.
Nynaeve? Like, I literally, I had no idea it was as important as that was the actual writing on the Hearthstone. Speaking of, holy shit, she drops this line so casually, and I was sitting back on the couch taking notes, and she says, oh no, what was it? What cracked at the eye of the world was a seal that kept Ishmael imprisoned. And I shot up and was like, whoa. And I just put my laptop down and I was like, pay attention, because that just blew my fucking mind. Dark One, playing this game all along, probably knew what to do, go there to get this first interaction with Moiraine and Rand. I mean, I assume he planned that out.
So
Luke,
you took it that like he is not the Dark One. That's what she was saying. Like that.
We've never been introduced to the Dark One. So I was going to say at the beginning of this podcast that
Look
I
at
have
his
to
face.
What?
Dude, listen. I got this. Let me take this.
I have to change my rankings because the Dark One isn't a top 3 character for me anymore. It's
listen,
not him.
Paul. So this is
if you're listening, Paul is just head in his lap, just trying to wrap his head around.
That's not Eyes of Emba.
That's not Eyes.
No, it is.
I was
It
hounding.
is.
I was
Eyes of
hounding
Emba
Kyle about this.
Isn't the Dark
Pause.
One? Oh.
Pause.
Yeah.
Let me clear this up because this is something that's been on my mind since season 1, and I'll explain 2 things here. So one, this reveal in the books is one of my favorite reveals ever because they play it out longer in the books. It goes like 3 books deep before you find out that the person that we think is the Dark One is the whole time is Ishmael. So what she says is that we didn't actually defeat the Dark One at the Eye of the World. What we did was released his strongest lieutenant. So basically his highest general. And if you go back to the beginning of the premiere of season 2, when he is talking to the little girl and he's saying me and the other chosen, me and the other forsaken, what he's saying is that he is not the Dark One, and he is the top rung of all of the chosen / forsaken, whatever you want to call them. And that's amazing because we have yet to see the Dark One, and this is just like his strongest general. So keep that in the back of your mind. And then the one thing I want to say that Amazon fucked up, but then they fixed it, was at the time of season 1 when it was coming out. If you were to ever pause an Amazon show, the names of the characters and the actors on screen pop up and they say the name of the character they're playing. So all throughout season 1, anytime you saw him, you paused it, it wouldn't say the Dark One, it would say Ishmael. So if you were paying attention, it was ruining it for you right there before this reveal, which was supposed to come out this season. But when we were going through our rewatch, they actually went back and fixed it. So if you are to watch it for the first time now, you're not going to have that spoiled for you. But I was very adamant of never letting like Dave, Alki, anybody pause episode 8 when they were around me. Like Kathleen, I stopped from pausing at times. I was like, you can't pause here without me like ruining something huge. But I'm super happy that this is on the table now, because then we can stop like dancing around it, because I've been avoiding calling him the Dark One. I've been calling him like the father of lies because I just don't know how to really treat it.
You did say that.
Yeah, so that is also his name, like one of his nicknames. But now that it's all on the table, like I love that this reveal's out there and we can talk about it, because this is our first like official introduction now, knowing that this is the head Forsaken. So that's where we're at.
So who we saw, the guy with the beard, Eyes of Ember, he is Ishmael.
Yes.
We're
Okay.
We're gonna
So-
we're gonna pronounce that name a bunch of different ways. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ishmael's like a Bible name, so that's probably why I'm pronouncing it like that.
I think they've been using the pronunciation as Shamael.
Okay.
Shamael.
I mean,
Okay.
we're gonna say a bunch of different ways, and people will understand what we're saying. I don't think it's a big
Ishi
deal.
he's called Ishi a lot
Yeah.
by the fandom.
Yeah.
So he was like imprisoned there in that Hearthstone, but he was still able to like go out and give visions, or was
Correct.
that okay?
Yes.
There will be an explanation for that. It's not
Gotcha.
a plot hole, but that is a thing. Yes, that he was able to.
Your other
shit.
your other comment too was something that I had asked Kyle in the car ride home about the eyes like Ember, but like Kyle, of course, wasn't willing to give an answer because spoilers and whatnot. But I had made the comment like, okay, so they were talking about like the Dark One in season 1 having eyes like Ember, or maybe it wasn't specifically them saying the Dark One has eyes like Ember. I guess we were under the assumption that they kept getting haunted by a figure with eyes like Ember, and I guess Moiraine took that as the Dark One. So I was at the same way, but Ishmael, top 3 favorite character right now, not the Dark One. So,
Holy shit! I am
yeah.
viewing everything completely differently
it's-
now. That was
it's-
crazy.
But it
And
makes it
just-
better, right? Because the idea that
Oh,
this
yeah.
isn't the final boss, because this is think
Yeah.
about 14 books. You're getting the final boss like this early, and Rand's kind of beating his ass at the end of book 1. Feels a little weak to milk for 14 books, so it only makes sense.
Also
No.
explains the smile on his face as he was getting sealed away, which
Yes.
wasn't being
Yeah.
sealed away.
That's what
Yes.
like
Yes.
I made the comment when we were doing season 1 of when I said like the ending is gonna be crazy when we look back on it soon, because like I remember reading the first book and being like it's over. Like, how are there fucking 14 of these things? Like, we just did it. And then Rand is in the same boat. He's like, oh my god, okay, I killed the Dark One. Now that everyone knows I can channel, like they're gonna want to kill me because I served my purpose. So I gotta fucking get the hell out of here.
Right.
So that, I mean, they are in the spirit of that. Like, all of those things are happening. They did, if you were like really, really paying attention, because they introduced the idea of the Forsaken. And they introduced it in episode 3. We get the first time Dana mentions Shamael. Then we get Steppen is doing like the ritual to the Forsaken idols. In that scene, they say Shamael, the father of lies. And then last episode, when Shamael is talking to the little girl, he says, like, people call me many names. The father of lies is the
Right.
first one that he does, basically. So, like, they technically told us last episode. And I fucking hate that the line that Moiraine says, like, we didn't kill the Dark One, or we didn't seal the Dark One, like, we let his strongest lieutenant free. Like, they used that line in promo materials, which was like,
Stupid.
I don't know
Oh.
why.
That's
Yeah.
lame.
Oh, so you're saying like it spoiled it just
Yeah, it
right
was
out
so-
the
like,
bat.
we watched
Yeah.
the trailer and I heard it and I was like, why the fuck would they put that in? I mean, whatever.
That is
That's why I
actually-
don't watch. I don't
Yeah.
watch the deep dive trailers. It's
Yeah,
just like
it's
it
not
ruins
worth it
too
at that
much.
point.
That's
Yeah.
fucking-
Like,
Either way, he's a beast, and he's
But
still
yeah.
a great character, even if he's
Insane.
not the Dark One.
But they have been planting his seeds for like specifically for like a very long time,
Dude,
which is
Al-
nice.
Yeah.
me and Alki had just watched episode 3 last night, and then like as the episode ended, he like randomly, of course, started asking all these questions about Ishmael, and I was like, this guy better not fucking figure it out by the time he gets to season 2. I'm gonna be so fucking pissed because he's like hounding me, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like it's what they just said, like he was the one that was like. Well, I guess I'm going to just talk about this real quick, or have questions about this. So Ishmael, what we were told by Dana in episode 3 was that he was the one that brought the Dragon Reborn to the Dark One, and we still remember his name thousands of years later.
Yep.
Does that mean that like Ishmael, whatever his name is,
You're good.
Ishi, did he receive powers as a gift from the Dark One for bringing the Dragon Reborn to him? Like, or was he always powerful and then brought the Dragon Reborn? Like, these are the kinds of things that I'm just wondering. Again, you don't have
It's
to
a fun
answer. This is just-
question.
yeah, it's just something I'm
that's-
throwing out there because obviously we don't know. It's just I just want to know whether he was a
14
human
books,
to start.
Dave.
Yeah,
We're on
I'm just,
book
I just want to
2.2 right
question it
now.
out there.
I also am something I think that I'm assuming, and I hope the show leans into as well. Something that books did a lot. And Dave, we talked about this in that car ride. Is like the idea of the unreliable narrator. So like, since the events with like Ishamael, the original dragon, and then the breaking, which like ruined the world, like how much actually survived of like actual like firsthand accounts of things and knowledge and stuff like that. So like there's the idea that like information has been corrupted over thousands of years, and like we might not actually, like things might not be actually what they were, or like what we think they weren't actually that way, because it's been, pretty much, heard it through the grapevine for fucking 2,000, 3,000 years, and then it gets distorted along the way. That idea is really big in the books, and I'm assuming and hoping that it's also going to be a thing in the show.
Oh
So,
my
yeah.
God.
And
I got like 3 other. Oh, sorry.
No, you're
Round
good.
it
Go
out real
ahead.
quick.
Because the one comment I will make will be like the final pin in it. So,
Okay. And I'll lead to that because I got a question coming up.
yeah.
But so real quick, when she's saying, he cut me off from the run power with the flick of a wrist, and Lan comes with, it takes 8 Aes Sedai to cut one off. Are they saying that all of the Forsaken are strong pretty much as this, or it's
Correct.
just okay?
Yeah. She said they're 3,000 years old and the strongest channelers to ever live. They make Aes Sedai look like tavern magicians. You have no conception of the power they wield.
Okay. And then I was also thinking of all the Forsaken, do they have to be male channelers or some female? But I think I want to say we got confirmation this episode that some of the Forsaken, at least the ones at the table, are female or can be female because of the last.
And to correct you again, that table at the start of last episode
Yes.
is not the Forsaken.
Sorry. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are just dark friends because
those are just high level dark friends that get, an audience with the Shamayo, basically.
Fad and Pain are there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a dark friend. Gotcha. Okay.
Correct.
Sorry.
Did you say Fat and Pain?
Yeah,
I did.
That is awesome.
I thought you were doing that
That's
on
cool.
purpose.
No, you can just let it slide. It's fine. We don't need to bring it up.
I did.
I thought I heard it, but I just that was
One
funny.
last. All right, this end scene with Moiraine, just the line. You never seen the forest through the trees because I've never shown it to you. That was a season 1 callback, correct? They talked about seeing the forest beyond the trees.
I do
big
believe
picture
so,
of shit. I just love that analogy, I guess, and that's why I remembered it. But that was sweet. And 2 at the very end, when she actually reveals that the Dragon Reborn is alive, and she didn't lie to Lan, but she danced around the truth. And he's all upset and says, I swore myself to be you because I trusted you, tell me the truth. Like, we were never equals. And she looks at him and she says, we were never equals. I am hoping that she's like, we were never equals because you are so much better.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
totally what it
the
is.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anytime she says words like that, you just
You gotta
can't take them
interpret
at
it the
face
other way.
value.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like I'm so surprised that Lan, like when at the end of season 1, when he's like, "Where's Rand?" and Moiraine looks at him, is like, "He's gone." It's like so obvious that like she's not saying he's dead. It's like Lan has been doing this for 20 years and still can't pick up on these cues. I'm 2 seasons in, I can fucking pick up on the cues. Like it's definitely like,
you
not equals.
You think he'd be well trained, but also, I mean, at some level, you're kind of hoping that your Aes Sedai would not fucking lie to you like that.
He also literally just got hit with without the bond, you cannot protect me. You failed. Without the other 2, I'd be dead.
Yeah, I think
like, he's getting fucking
that one hurt.
haymakers after haymakers.
That was the one that made
pissed me off.
Yeah, that was.
Well, he does say that I should have. He says earlier at some point that like I should have sensed the fades. He might say it in this conversation. I don't know if they've really
I think.
gone over it a ton.
Like for being weak.
Yeah, but like the warder bond is supposed to, like, a benefit of the warder bond is supposed to be that you're like sensitive to like shadow spawn, kind of like how I guess how Geralt has like the pendant or whatever that like vibrates when monsters are around. Like warders are supposed to like have like a sensitivity to shadow spawn. So I think that's kind of what they were getting at there. It wasn't obviously completely evident, but I'll add on that context for them. How about that? If anyone else has no comments, I have one last one.
Top 3 character.
I guess I have 2 more because I want to emphasize the fact that Moiraine says that I'm pretty much saying I'm going to pass your bond to Alana and fucking by force if it has to be, which is, in my opinion, an insane line.
I'm team Nynaeve and Lan now. Let's fucking get after it, baby.
The second one is going to be like, this is like an insane acceleration and cutting and pasting of storylines from the book. Moiraine and Lan's story in book 2 is literally they're at the villa with the sisters and that is it. They do nothing in book 2. So like they had, like, you can't have Rosamund Pike in 2 episodes. of a season, you know, so like she has to be in everything, so they need to kind of accelerate her storyline around. It kind of reminds me, just as an example, is like I and again potentially a caution of Bran in Game of Thrones, where it's like his book storyline got so far ahead of everyone else's that they literally had to cut him out of a season. I don't think they're not going to do that to Rosamund Pike, because she's obviously way higher on the billing sheet than
anyone else.
I'm so sorry. Hempstead, I forget what his name is. He has 3 names, but Bran's actor. So when I first watched this, I was like, fuck, like I literally can't believe they're doing this right now. Like, I don't know how much I like this, but I think the more I think about it, kind of logistically, rationally, blah, 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 I'm okay with it. It's obviously giving us good drama. It's creating a lot of good kind of tension between her and Lan. And then it's kind of like, oh my God, well, okay, where's she going? Like, you know, that kind of deal. So I'm personally okay with it. I can see that there might be a lot of book readers that would not be happy with this.
It's one of those things I feel like we won't know if it pays off for at least another season or 2.
And I think that they've definitely
paved the way for it to be good.
In this season, I think I'm giving them more of the benefit of doubt of things like this. So, which is a good thing, I guess, to say. And then the last thing I will say is that we should have a moment of silence for Paul's Tom Maryland is a Shamael theory. So if you'll join us in a moment of silence. All right, thank you. So
way too long.
Let me just bring us through the Matt. I'll give you a break here of giving some scenes, because the Matt bucket's pretty quick. I'll take this quick. I'll summarize the whole thing, and then we can talk about whatever, because this is a couple of cool scenes still worth talking about for sure, because Matt didn't get a lot in the first season or first episode. We kind of just acknowledged that actor change happened. He's in the White Tower in a cell with Leandrin being aware. So this kind of continues in the same vein. We find out more specifically that Leandrin and the Reds are monitoring Matt to see if there's any residual effects of him having touched the dagger. He's been there. He says that he hasn't touched it for 6 months. And then there's that really, really fucking funny, charismatic moment for the actor that I actually was like, okay, new Matt, when he counts Leandrin walking away, he does all the locks. Like, he knows exactly to the that's the Matt that I'm really craving from the books. And it was a really good moment for his actor to show that he could be funny. He could be, you know, like all of this stuff. And then we find out that his Shawshank move worked, and he got into the cell next to him to find out. God damn, it's Min. So Min, who we last saw at the end of last season, leaving the Borderlands before the whole battle came to be, and we find out that she basically got caught by the Aes Sedai, and she's in this cell. We already know that Moiraine knew about her, and now you can kind of assume that the other Aes Sedai wanted her too, because of this special power of seeing glimpses of the pattern that she has. There's a couple cool moments. Didn't expect the flirting back and forth, but I was actually all in for it, because they have some good on-screen chemistry. And then seriously. they end up ripping some liquor, wine, whatever you want to fucking say. They're having a good time. And then the moment comes where we see the vision that she sees of Matt through her eyes, which is him using, I don't know if it was the dagger or a dagger, but he stabs Rand in the stomach. And that's pretty much, and we also find out that Matt like rejected the idea of hearing the visions because he doesn't want to hear any of that. So that's pretty much the whole front to back. I sprinted through that, but I'll give you Rooks, like, give me something, because this is our first real introduction to the character of Matt with our new actor. So like initial impressions, and like, what do we think about him and Min?
Literally cracking the fuck up when he was doing that lock impression and the steps walking away. I thought that was perfect. Knew everything coming, the latch, the chain, everything. It was great.
It was good.
And I'm trying to, since Kyle said in the books, view Min's visions as more metaphorical / philosophical. Like, don't take it as what it is. But, you know, when I see Matt legitimately stab Rand in the stomach in a vision, it's like, that doesn't seem metaphorical. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Stabbed him in the back, maybe, but like, no, he pretty much gutted him and held him as his body fell. So I don't know what to take as that, except that Matt is going to go insane, or Rand is asking him to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm kind of, I guess, trying to introduce that idea of like, it could be literally just like Matt will betray Rand, but like it's visualizing itself like that.
Could be literal like too. So
yeah, and it could be literal. I guess we don't know yet from this show, so that's, I think, definitely an interesting thing to keep an eye on, of whether it's going to be like that.
He's like, I have a terrible pain in my stomach right here. Get it out and stab me. It's actually doing a favor for Rand.
Yeah, Matt performs an appendectomy on him.
Yeah,
standing up for some fucking reason.
Yeah, right there. Okay,
a Matt appendectomy.
Oh, okay. Not terrible.
That's the
Paul
worst
loved
thing we
it,
said on
Paul,
that.
Paul loved it. I'm gonna take the W on that one. No, but honestly, really impressed with the new Matt character. Really am vibing with him so far. Usually not one for big actor changes. If you couldn't tell by the Witcher podcast, if anyone is listening, we're not. But honestly, this Matt totally vibing with. Definitely am rooting for him and Min as a couple. Although I do have some worries for them. I feel like they would be. I told Kyle this in the car. I'm worried that they're going to be a little toxic for each other, and they might be like that couple that goes around like robbing people, and it could be a little bit of a rocky relationship. But as of right now, rooting for both of them. Matt's character was awesome. Min is definitely a very interesting character because of her abilities, and I'll give more credit to Matt too for denying the want to see the future for himself. I mean, I feel like that was a little like kind of force fed to us that like, oh, like Matt's really saying no here, but at the same time, it was really badass to see him just be like, I'm not too worried about it. He's just like flicking the coin up and down or whatever it was, and just so casual about it. I'm all in on Matt's character. After him having a really rough end to season 1 with being like depressed for like 4 episodes straight and not really doing much, which again was just an effect of the dagger. So I get it. But now that we're actually seeing him recover and being that charismatic Matt that we remember from episode 1, I'm loving it.
Yeah, his storyline from the books, and I believe I mentioned it last episode, or potentially was in the season 2 book readers preview of like, there's a thing of like Dagger Matt versus post Dagger Matt. And like people tend to really not like Matt as a character so much in books 1 and kind of 2 because he is this version of himself that's so impacted by the dagger. And then when he gets like quote unquote better, then it's like, okay, this is the Matt we're looking for, this fucking cheeky little bastard guy that just, and I think that they're really, in my opinion, Donald is doing a great job at like that little cheeky Matt. And it's definitely coming across well. And I'm really excited about it. And I like that it was not like, oh, like the healing has changed your visit. Like, it's just don't fucking comment on it. Just run. And we have so many seasons left that it won't even be a thing eventually. So like, don't even comment on it.
My last thing I want to just shouting questions into the void of our podcast.
I love it. I'm writing them down. So
it's just like, my question is just, what is Leandrin doing and thinking? I get that Matt, had the dagger and whatever. He was going through all the symptoms, but it just feels like it's very clear at this point that he's okay. And we know from season 1, we have been told, I know Leandrin hasn't been specifically told this, but we as viewers know that we were told that some of these characters are going to become evil. Like they have the Emmons Field 5, one of you is going to be the Dragon Reborn. Some of you might turn to the darkness. And I just feel like what Leandrin's doing to Matt is just like pushing that darkness onto him. Like he has no interaction with anyone. And I don't know if it's just because he has a penis or not, but it just feels like she is specifically targeting Matt for a reason I am not aware of yet. And
I mean,
I'm just, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Can I fill you in why? Because I know.
Yeah. So
I know exactly why. She's already mad though. Because new theory alert, Kyle, write this one down. I was actually
rabble.
I saw her ring in a different light, and it looked like a black Aes Sedai ring. I'm talking about Leandrin.
Rabble.
Exactly. Get excited. So last episode, I was talking about all the dark friends that we saw at the table at the 7-pointed house. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I said there was a black ring. Maybe it was a red ring, and maybe this is literally, we have a dark friend within the Aes Sedai. And
there's definitely going to be a dark friend in the Aes Sedai, but I'm going to disagree.
Leandrin.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on the Leandrin part. I feel like we got enough. Maybe not, I guess, because Dana was actually kind of talking about like her hopes and dreams and stuff. And like she felt like a person. And we saw here too that Leandrin's obviously caring for people, but that still doesn't, I guess, put her out of reach of being a dark one. So, but I'm going to disagree. Dark friend. Yeah,
I'm going to disagree with
you. Especially because when we did see all of them, Luke and Kyle were like, did they just give it away? Yeah, they just gave it away. So I'm keeping that in my back of my mind, trying to figure out what they gave away. Could have been the long fingernail lady too.
I mean, they like, get her. It's like very obvious that they want you to be like, okay, that's an Aes Sedai ring. That's a Shinar
dark friend.
Yeah, like that's someone wearing all white, that kind of deal. So yeah, I like where both of your heads are at. You guys have done a great job of kind of thinking through like steps ahead. and like within like the rules and like what we know about the world up until this point of like what might be coming down the pike. Okay.
What's next,
so
Perrin?
Yeah. Well, I guess
White
we're
Tower.
technically in the White Tower.
Okay, yeah, keep
So I guess
going.
we'll
Keep
kind
doing
of-
the White Tower
yeah,
then.
We'll kind of backtrack slightly. So the first kind of White Tower we see this the theme of this episode for Nynaeve is like we're continuing kind of with this Leandrin tutelage, if you would say, to use that word. The first thing we get with them is basically Leandrin takes Nynaeve to what is essentially kind of like a hospital. It's where the Yellow Aja is doing a bunch of healing, and she wants her to observe what the accepted can do with the power. That's kind of the seed that she's planting in her. So just like a little setup scene. We get the confirmation of what I mentioned last episode, and that the accepted, the girls that are accepted, and that that step up ring above novice, which is what Egwene and Nynaeve are. They have those kind of like rainbow droplets or whatever, kind of no, not insignia, embroidered onto their cuffs. Yeah, and we get like Leandrin does take the Crimson Thorn route here, all these kind of things, and this is kind of the first time we've seen Nynaeve like kind of enamored with the use of the power. She's not like afraid of it. She's seeing the potential for it. And then we get what Luke mentioned earlier. Landry kind of explains the specialties of their Ajas. We get libraries. So you can explore the libraries with the Browns. You get statecraft and diplomacy from the Greys. Yellows are healing diseases. And then she has quite an interesting take on the actual point of the Red Aja. I can see that like the propaganda within the Aja would totally give her this this thought line. But I think the more interesting information we get here is something that we talked about last episode. We get confirmation that using the one power slows the aging process in Aes Sedai, and they can live for hundreds of years.
Yep. Really cool information, which really gives you the visualization of that later on in the episode. But it was cool to see that. And I think again, something I was mentioning is I'm just curious if Bran will also be able to have that ability to extend his life a little bit longer.
So I just want to put this out there because it's not a spoiler. Well, first of all, the males do get the same benefits, but they all usually go crazy and kill themselves or kill everybody. So it doesn't matter. There's no like real measure.
Worst thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like a spell, or is it just something that naturally happens as
naturally
you touch
happens?
the one? Okay.
When you're touching the power, you're basically, Kyle's described it.
It's like
before.
a battery.
You're turning everything up to 100. You're feeling everything. You're seeing more colors. Your life energy is just up, and that's kind of the idea. Okay. If you touch the one power, you gain these extra benefits. And this is not a spoiler, and I just want you to have it in your head because it's fun for like our kind of conversations. The stronger you are, the longer you can live. Just like the idea. That's like not like a big
makes sense.
That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then we get, Leandrin, just Kate Fleetwood's fantastic as Leandrin, but Nynaeve kind of has a little pushback of like, you can't teach novices. And then Leandrin kind of tells her about the trial for accepted, which is they call it the arches. And then she has a cheeky little, I'm allowed to teach accepted.
so fucking good. Her delivery is amazing, man. She is incredible.
Yeah, she's just kind of dangling that fruit in front of Nynaeve. Like, if you want to do the things you actually maybe want to do with the power, then you'll need to do this, and then we can work together more. So she's kind of just pushing Nynaeve down this path. Because obviously, like I said, Nynaeve actually showed interest in using the power to heal. All right. So the next thing we get is going to be Egwene. So Egwene's walking down the hallway, and she's confused by just a bunch of luggage in her hallway. And the presence of the luggage leads to a potentially fateful introduction to one of my personal favorite characters. We get Elayne Trakand, the daughter heir of Andor. They have some conversations here where we learn a little bit, but just, I guess, kind of initial takes on Elayne.
Initial takes, I thought she was a fucking bitch, to be honest. I was like, she's disrespecting Egwene out here, even though I'm not the craziest Egwene fan, but she's still disrespecting one of our homies. And first take, I did not like her that much, but obviously their friendship develops, and my feelings for her also develop too. So she's growing on me, but still not quite there. I feel like she's supposed to be giving this vibe, but she is a little stuck up, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, totally. First take, you're like, who the hell is this strutting in here? But immediately she almost makes up for it in showing how good of a person she is. Everything rude that she's saying is not on purpose. It's by mistake. Call it like naivete if you want to, but like she's not doing it to be mean. She's just making observations. So she was
quite
great.
an awkward encounter, this first one.
Oh yeah.
So-
she's like, "Oh, you're just moving in today too," and Queen's like, "Not exactly, you bitch."
Yeah.
It's like your room looks like shit. You just move in.
She's like, "Yeah, I can't believe they would leave all the rubbish in here."
That was awesome. That the two rivers, she could tell it was from the two rivers just by the stitching.
Yeah,
I would be able to tell if it was from the Four Rivers, though.
Yeah.
The real.
Dave's more particular to Four Rivers stitch.
I know that stuff. Yeah.
I think you guys are almost at the point where it's actually worth Googling a map. This might be the moment where like it actually really helps you because Andor is just like a huge subcontinent on the continent. It's a huge region that she is the queen,
She's
the
daughter
princess.
heir.
Daughter
she
heir.
mentions she mentions here that it's the most powerful nation on Earth.
Yeah.
Right. Two
So-
things I picked up on that I was
We're
just
on Earth.
I'll let you get back into it. Yeah. Two things I picked up on that I thought you guys, I forget if it's in this chunk of scenes or the next little just world building thing here is she kind of hints at or indirectly says like she used to come to the White Tower for training in periods of time. So she knows her way around the tower. And also she is very much in the same lane as Egwene in terms of using the honorifics. Like she cares so much and she will put in the work to be like an Aes Sedai. You can tell like she's like, yep, like I'm not gonna rat on my friend or whoever. And then she says, I'll take the punishment. I'll meet Shiriam, the mistress of novices. Like there's a lot of good character just like outlining here for Elayne. And this is pretty much how she's written. So like I don't think there's anything for book readers to complain about yet.
No, I think they did a good job of like introducing the two kind of sides to her. She is like deep down she's a good person, but she obviously has that like very stuck up nature because she lived this very privileged life up until this point.
Right.
Few things. Just letting Egwene show her around, even though she knows everywhere. That was just nice of her. She's like, she genuinely seemed like she wanted to get to know her. The way she took the lashings, then the punishment right away. She didn't actually take any lashings yet, but the way she was just like, if it comes to that person getting punished, like I'm not going to give you the name, punish me instead. All right, I'll see you every morning. And she's like, all right, cool, before or after breakfast. Like she's so fucking ready for it. That was just like hell yeah, brother. And when she was sitting down and saying, oh, some of the greatest pairings in Aes Sedai history were made in these rooms as novices, like what do you think or imagine what the future has in store for us? And I'm like, dude, like the music is building, the sun is like shining perfectly in the background and zooming in on their faces, and I'm like, okay, so this is the meaning of legends then. Like this is going to be one of the best duos going forward.
You just nailed it right there, but they drop a Hall of Famer's name in that conversation too. So that's just like a casual world building thing, or I guess lore thing where they just say, because they name Cadsuane, and then who was the other one? It was
I didn't catch this. I've seen the episode 3 times, and every time when they say Cadsuane, I'm like, oh my god, Cadsuane.
Kyle looked right at me. He was like,
I didn't even try without subtitles to write that shit down. I just said 2 legends, but I'm like,
but
it's not
in my
relevant.
opinion, Cadsuane Maladrin is the name to know, but it's like, when will we need to know it? Maybe 6 real years from now or more. So that's just like that's another one of those things they just dropped in on us.
Have they already also mentioned, like, hinted at the fact that Elayne is also one of these, stronger?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that already mentioned in the show?
Not yet, but we'll get. At this point, we're kind of hitting every single Elayne and Egwene scene, which is perfectly fine. You know what I mean? We talked about the Sheriam Sedai thing, and then just I guess one of the last things is that Elayne obviously has a certain level of mastery over the power. She mentions that she spent the last 6 summers in the White Tower. That's like a canonical thing, and that like Andor and the White Tower have a very good relationship. So Elayne's kind of been there pretty much for summer camp every year. So she obviously has this level of control over the power, and I just like that she uses it to make liquor.
Oh, what a good party trick, dude. She can be in the Magicians. She can be in Tada any day.
It's literally like how you guys met Dave Smith on orientation at Penn State. He just had a bottle of liquor. It was like, do you guys drink? And it was like, all right, now we're friends for life.
It's literally the same thing. Yeah.
Orientation at the age of 21. So orientation.
Should we call Elayne Dave Smith for the rest of this podcast?
Yeah, I don't hate that. One thing I do want to specifically call out is that Egwene is like obviously doesn't know who she is, even though Elayne says like, you're my subject. And that's like a big thing in the books, is that like the 2 rivers and the 4 rivers are like such backwater little hamlets and towns that like technically they're probably within the boundaries of Andor as a kingdom, but like they don't see themselves as Andorans. They don't see themselves as subject of the kingdom. So that just like was a little subtle, like mostly just a facial acting on Egwene of like kind of implying that, and we'll get more of that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, just because I love Elayne, the line when she's like, I hope you'll forgive me if I say this, jealousy's not the best look on you. And Egwene's like, I'm not jealous. Like, I'm not jealous. And then she says, like, Elayne, like, oh, I'm sorry, Egwene, like, I'm literally the daughter heir to the most powerful kingdom on earth. Like, I think I know what jealousy looks like. You know, that's just like, I think, in my opinion, that's classic Elayne.
I loved putting Egwene in her place a little bit right there. She's like, you were definitely jealous, and I loved hearing that. And Egwene needed to hear that.
I just didn't get what Egwene was complaining about when she was saying, like, oh, whenever I needed her, she was never there. She was out sparring. I was like, what did you
She's making excuses.
Yeah.
I think it's just her making excuses, like hiding her jealousy. She's not actually like saying Nynaeve was never there for me. I think she's just it's more of the jealousy part. But it also is at the same time, like Nynaeve gets pulled away because she's so special, and that like Egwene, I guess, feels, you know, in this by herself, doing all the chores by herself when she could be with Nynaeve the whole time. And I think she's blaming all of that on Nynaeve when none of it is really Nynaeve's fault, and her jealousy's getting in the way.
The harder she tries, the more Egwene falls behind. The less Nynaeve tries, the farther she gets ahead. That pretty much summed up the whole thing and how she feels.
And she's hearing all this at the time.
Which
and Nynaeve is outside the door.
Fucking can't stand
I
this
hate
trope.
when they do that.
I hate this trope so much because it's like, what are the chances that you get there perfectly at that time as soon as they start saying something mean? And what are the chances you walk away right before she says something nice?
It didn't bother me until she walked away, because it's just like,
dude,
just keep listening it out. Just keep listening it out.
So fucking frustrating. I hate it. I hate it when they do it in any show. Unless
it's just like it's literally One Piece when Luffy is recruiting Chopper, or at least like talking about Chopper to like the crewmates, and he's like, oh my god, Chopper's a monster, like all this stuff, and like Chopper's like, ah shit, like this guy's a douche too, and he walks away, and then Luffy's like, and I love monsters, like I want one on my crew, and it's like, Chopper, just stay there for like 5 more seconds, and you would have been golden.
Well, if Oda uses the trope, then I take it back. Then it's a great trope.
It was just that one time, though. So he gets the pass. He gets the pass.
Paul, I do agree with you, though. All right. Now, moving into, I guess we're going to technically back up just a little bit into, Alana, Maskim, and Yvonne. I believe his name is Yvonne. They have a meeting with Shiriam Sadai. So Shiriam Sadai is this woman that's wearing the blue dress. She has the white hair. They're referring to her to the mistress of novices. She's basically in charge of all of the novices within the tower. She meets out all of the punishment. If they have problems, they come to her. She's kind of like almost like a guidance counselor, you could say, in a way, for like the novice level rank.
For the middle schoolers.
Yeah, pretty much in the tower. So then Alana, Maskim, and Yvonne come to Shiriam Sadai, and they kind of, voice all of their concerns about what's going on with Liandrin and Nynaeve. And again, we just get this great concept of shit's happening in the world, and now we're getting all of these strong channelers on the side of the light. So it's like something's going down. Like, they're kind of reading the tea leaves of the world at this point. I just love that concept. All right, no one cares.
So the fact that she's saying that the wheel is giving us weapons to fight was just like, that's just such a cool concept. Like everything you see popping up, and you just knowing that there's going to be much more to come because shit's happening. Also, them just straight out calling out their like red sister, like they just know that there's like constant strife. It seems like between all the different Ajas.
It's just interesting that the wheel is producing the average level of wheel, like people who can touch the one source is like on average they're getting weaker, but at the same time they're also spitting out people who are capable of being like the strongest of all time, whatever. So I just thought that was an interesting concept, because it is maybe not confusing is the right word, but it's just hard to keep track of, because they are talking about how they're getting weaker, but at the same time, they're also getting stronger. I know we'll get more into it as the seasons go on and everything, but it's just the wheel is churning as the wheel wants to, basically.
I would say stick a pin in that.
I still think it's all related to the OG Dragon Reborn 3,000 years ago when he broke the wheel. I think that affected not only everyone's ability to touch the one source, so people getting weaker. I think it also has an influence on men being corrupted. Like I think all that stems from the OG battle of the Dark One and the Dragon Reborn. That's my guess right now.
And didn't we also get a name drop here
We did.
Okay, and the context, I didn't write it down specifically, but it's not a spoiler context, right? I can just say.
No, not at all. I mean, we learned in episode 1 that there was another false dragon. That got Dave's loins quite girded.
Yeah.
And then we get the name of him here in this scene. If you would like to intro him for the
yeah.
I was gonna say, if you want to intro him
Please,
for the
I did
first
not
time.
write anything down.
So Mazrim Taim, just another great character. So just I don't know. I don't want to say anything else, but just
Yeah.
that was a really cool moment. There was a lot of really cool name drops, like Cadsway and Mazrim Taim. Like we're killing it this episode. The Ishmael reveal.
Yeah. And a big concern, and we talked about this, me, Luke, Jimmy, on the season 2 book readers preview episode, is that there was a concern. It was definitely with the three of us, but also I think in like the greater context of fans, if they were going to combine Mazrim Taim and Logain into one character just to like save us the headache of multiple false dragons. But it's fucking fantastic that they did not do that.
That would have been the worst.
I'd much rather have multiple fake dragons.
Yeah. And he just mentions location. He says Saldea. So at this point, I'm fairly positive
we'll be there soon, right, Kyle?
Well, just that we've now named all of the Borderland nations.
Okay. Cool.
So at this point, we've heard the 4 Borderland nations be named. So I guess they're chipping away at all of the fucking possible geographical locations to discuss in the show.
Season 3 map for the intro.
I mean, I'm calling out for a map. I mean, someone's got to help
Seriously.
someone's got to help these poor folks out.
We had this conversation. I'm just like waiting. Once we get a seafaring trip, then it's game over. Then introduce us to the map, once we're crossing some borders.
Well, speaking of crossing borders and traveling, they do have their bags all packed together. And they were saying, that Moiraine needs our help. We're about to go. I'm like, can you just do whatever you want as an Aes Sedai? Or are they like kind of like, all right, we'll do this now, go to the Amarylline seat, like we'll explain why we did this and take any punishment that like comes to us or whatever.
You can pretty much do what you want unless you're specifically assigned to do certain things. Like the Mistress of Novices, Shiriam stays in the tower all the time for her purpose. And Leandrin, you saw in season 1, she was out there hunting down guys across the country. You can really do whatever you want as long as you're not betraying the tower and you're being good. You're working on the side of the light.
And also, we do get this scene in episode 1, in season 1, when Mygan and Moiraine have that kind of chat, and you could tell that there's a level of hierarchy in the Ajas. So Mygan's trying to basically instruct her, like, hey, you got to stay here in the tower and do yada yada while I go do these things. Moiraine gets around it, obviously, by getting Swan to give her the oath that she has to leave, essentially, which is just, like we talked about on the podcast, absurd to, the punishment for someone that's never in the tower is to never be in the tower. So that kind of writing wackiness aside, it does kind of teach us there is a level of hierarchy. Also, we do know from episode 1 that the Amarylline's not in the tower right now. So I think it's also maybe a function of like mom's not home. So like, the inmates rule the prison a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Type of deal for sure. Okay. The next scene we're going to move to, because we discussed Elayne and Egwene about everything, is we get Nynaeve and Leandrin. These are 2 scenes technically. The first scene is going to be Nynaeve goes to Leandrin's door. She gets informed that Leandrin just left and she kind of follows her. And then it moves into Nynaeve exposing a very uncomfortable secret of Leandrin's, and we get a pretty much we're on the fence of fireworks. We almost get to some fucking crazy shit, but we don't. Leandrin somehow contains herself.
My boy.
And we don't get that
my
far.
Boy.
Yeah.
I've abandoned my boy.
In season 1, when Moiraine says, like, I know about that man that you visit, I was thinking about, maybe she does have a romantic relationship, a romantic aspect to it, but the way she talked to him, like my boy, it definitely seemed like that was her son. And we got the healing aspect of Aes Sedai and everything like that, so they can outlive your kids, obviously. Is that confirmed? Can we say that? No, I don't know.
I mean, I would say we're 99% there.
Okay, so there's a chance it's not.
I'm just kind of curious if,
I guess, in my opinion, just because this isn't a thing in the books. So like, yeah, maybe there's a shot, but like, I mean, I guess until technically we hear her say like my son or like your son, I guess it's 99.9.
Came out of me.
Yeah, or that, or that part. Yeah, she could also say that.
Either way, this
he was
was
suffering
a great
from like
reveal. Go ahead.
he was suffering from a disease, right? That's just what I want to ask. Like
I
it
think
wasn't
so.
like
Maybe
old
heart
age,
disease.
right? Like they were saying heart disease, right? Yeah, okay. Just because I wasn't
She
sure.
just said, Nynaeve says it's in his heart.
Yeah, because it's obvious. Like it looked on paper similar to the symptoms that the girl was experiencing earlier when Nynaeve was in the infirmary, but now, but she confirms that it's something different.
The breakbone fever.
Yeah.
Which,
but he
if
does
you
look old
remember,
still, though.
Real OGs remember that's the disease that Egwene had when she was young, that Nynaeve mysteriously healed from season 1, episode 6. So
I knew that. You just didn't give me a chance to say it.
Yeah, my bad. If you're a real, actually, maybe it was 5. I don't know, 5 or 6, one of those episodes.
Leandrin was right, though. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Nynaeve was totally in the
girl.
wrong.
Yeah. I just, what did she? Where did she get off? Essentially, I love it. She's like, I thought you were gonna kill him. It's just like, what the fuck were you gonna do about it? Do you think?
Yeah,
you
right.
can't even use the power.
Yeah.
Like Leander just showed you last episode that she would literally kick the shit out of you. Oh, classic Nynaeve.
That's why I was like, okay, if you want to follow her and get information, that's fine. But what are you just revealing yourself for? That's just gonna. You think Leandrin? Yes, Leandrin's so cool before this. Like, she's not gonna react weird.
Yes, she's been super chill up until this point.
Yeah, like what the fuck do you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, she gets bitch slapped. I love that Leandrin says, "Before I do something, we both regret." Yeah.
It's sad.
I would have loved to see something that she would have regretted.
Oh, it went down between the two of these two.
I would have loved to see that.
I was loving this weird relationship that was kind of cultivating of like her wanting to train her after she becomes accepted, like says pass the test and then I'll train you. And it feels like after this scene, like the next thing she says to Nynaeve is like, I already regret offering you the ability to skip ahead and take the accepted test. So I like, my hopes are kind of like getting dashed for that because we don't know how this works in the books. Like this is kind of freeballing it, so anything could happen. And I was loving those two being like mentor mentee because that would have been fun for at least a little bit.
A very interesting dichotomy. Leandrin seems like a Hall of Fame grudge holder as well, so it seems like this might be the end of it.
They're similar, honestly. Nynaeve is definitely already a Hall of Fame grudge holder, the way she's been holding this grudge against the Aes Sedai for fucking 20, 30 years. So
yeah, they're definitely competing there. And I think a small little tidbit of info they give us here is that Leandrin clearly is not great at healing. I mean, she literally has to steal the root from the hospital. You would think that she could just do it herself and heal while they was literally accepted doing it. I think that's what you're supposed to infer from this, because that is a thing from the books, is that Leandrin is really not good at using healing.
I'm glad you gave that confirmation. I just thought it was her just not being sure of what the disease was. So,
well, her saying, I didn't know it would hurt you, I didn't know it would leave you here in pain, kind of goes on with that, Kyle.
Okay, yeah.
Because she said, like, I've been pretty much, they said, like, she's been unsuccessful at healing him.
Yeah. And like, she doesn't want to go in and say, hey, can I have all this medicine? And be like, oh, who's it for? And she's like, So
yeah, but like, what's the significance of hiding this person? It's just something.
It's a weakness.
It's a weakness for her. I mean, she says literally earlier in episode 1, it's like, warders are their weaknesses, they're things they get in the way, while she is kind of, I don't want to say babying this boy when he's an old man and he's legitimately sick, but like, yeah.
Just think, Cersei Lannister, right? Like every little piece of information is leverage over each other in the White Tower, because these are some petty hoes at times. So like, you don't want, especially Leandrin, who's like she just like fights with everybody. Like you don't want her having a weakness out there, is probably why she tries to hide this.
And to my knowledge, this is new. I don't believe she has a son in the books. Right. I don't think we don't really learn that much about her. We know that she was poor when she grew up, basically, and that's kind of, and we might learn more about that stuff. But obviously it implies the fact that she had a romantic relationship with a man in the past. I wonder what that guy was like.
It gives us hope that she's not going to be always sexist towards men. It gives us hope.
I don't know. Maybe she's just so jaded.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, must have been 70 odd years ago. So
maybe this is the reason why she hates men, and she didn't willingly want to get pregnant.
She didn't want to raise a son, and so now she hates all men. Yeah.
Like Ingtar said, I mean, you might not like the reason, but I got to ask the question.
Yeah, Ingtar.
Maybe something happened. She got pregnant, kept baby.
All right. We got one final scene before we get to Lord Ingtar. This is just Leandrin, like Luke kind of led us into a little bit. She's leading Nynaeve down kind of deep into the tower to begin her accepted trials with the Arches. This is obviously a cliffhanger on that storyline. They do like the ritual language It's like who do you bring, sister? One who comes as a candidate for acceptance. Is she ready? She's ready to leave behind what she was. All that kind of stuff. That's kind of I didn't go back and check verbatim, but I know that like they have like this like rigid ritual sentence is that they have to say. So they're kind of pulling that straight out of the book. The doors open, the music is fucking fantastic, and then we don't get it.
I saw some arches. Trial of the
We'll
Those
leave
are
this.
monsters.
I think me and Kyle can leave this alone completely because this is totally going to be the cold
Oh, it
open
is.
to episode 3. So you guys, any thoughts you want on the board right now? Because we didn't get much yet, but like there's no need for us to really go over it because I'm sure any lore things we'll talk about will be next podcast.
I assume this is the trial of the arches. That's
good.
my crazy theory.
All right, Sherlock Holmes.
She does have the one line beforehand where the one woman says, "Does she know what she fears?" And Leandrin says, she has never faced them, but she is willing. And I'm like, God damn, what is she about to go see in there? So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Boggarts.
Like, it kind of is
Yeah,
going to be
that's
like
the
a test if you can like use your power, if you're just like mentally stable, or I don't even know what the fuck. But she can't even touch the one power right now. So.
He's gonna be fighting Darth
for
Vader,
that.
Paul.
And
Just like Luke Skywalker when he has to
That'd
face
be-
his biggest fear and he sees
Oh,
Darth
yeah.
Vader. Yeah.
Did
the
you just
weirdest
spoil
part.
Lord of the Rings? I mean, Lord of the Rings. Star
Lord
Wars.
of the Rings
Yeah.
on Alderaan, or not
Yeah.
Alderaan. Oh
Not
my God,
Alderaan.
Dagobah.
Yeah, come
My
on,
bad.
Dagobah.
Oh, maybe we
Dagobah.
should cut that.
That whole section is cuttable.
We ran a podcast on Star Wars for a little
She-
bit.
I wasn't on it.
Also, Leandrin says at the very beginning when she goes to Nynaeve's door, if I could take back what's about
Oh,
to be
this
offered,
guy.
I could, but I already put the wheels in motion. And I was like, she said wheels, the wheels
Oh,
of
yeah.
time.
Also,
dude.
Dave, I forgot to. You said about 15 minutes ago, where obviously this episode's dragging on a little bit, but I'm having a good time, so I hope everyone else is. You said when the dragon broke the wheel, I believe you meant to say the world. So just to
Yeah,
clarify
sorry.
that.
Yeah.
The wheel is firmly intact.
Certainly. Always will be.
Season
Yeah,
one, every
it's
time a
still
wheel
turning.
came on screen, I was like, oh my God, it's a wheel.
Write that down. Write that down.
Do we get a wheel in the sky keeps on turning at some point during this series?
That's how that's gonna close with that.
It has to, right? Like it literally can't not be that song.
All right. Any comments on anything that happened in the White Tower? Or
White
forever
Castle.
Hold your peace. Yeah, in the White Castle. I guess maybe until the end. But all right. We'll move on now to our final bucket, our final storyline, the hunt for the Horn of Valir. So we just kind of pick back up with our hunting party, our tracking party. Uno is continuing to complain about Elias the tracker, but Elias leads us to a river and a large building or kind of group of buildings that the group investigates, and we find quite the disturbing / badass scene kind of there waiting for us. So I would say we're just going to open up everything that happens in this kind of first location.
All I could think about when he's like, loyal, stay with the horses. I'm like, all right, so he doesn't have to make up in CGI in this scene and like do all this other stuff. I'm like, all right, cool, sure. But no, it was a really cool way to show that Perrin doesn't know, like, initially he doesn't know if what he's seeing is real or like he genuinely thought there was people in that building.
Yeah. That like woman in the door or in the window is pulled straight from the books. Like
That's
that,
awesome.
Yeah, that thing happens for sure.
So the window doesn't like actually move. He's just seeing that. Is
yeah,
what
he's
happened.
just seeing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then we get the classic, like, so he has the vision and like it's going through it. Like he tries to talk to them, but obviously, there's no one there. And then the fade comes in and then it just like, because we're turning with the camera and we're watching the scene go down and we get to Inktar and then we just get to Elias just staring at Perrin.
Classic Elias. Classic.
It just cracks me up that he literally just stares at him. He just stands there and stares at him.
I'll
Just
say
talk
the
shit,
eyes.
too.
The eyes looked amazing.
Yeah.
In this scene, I was pretty impressed with them. Like they didn't look as crazy as they do and fantastical as they did in my head. They looked pretty good on Perrin there.
Yeah, and we just get the classic. They're obviously reinforcing this of just the wolf howling,
Mhm.
when his eyes turn. So, and
But
then
let's
gets in
talk
his
about
face. I mean,
my fucking part because this part was sick when they go up to the door and they see the crucified
I
fade.
shit.
Dude.
I was
And then
like-
they're like, oh my God, that moment for me was awesome. It was so little. That is in the books. And they're like kind of theorizing what put it up there, what had the guts or was even capable of nailing a fade to the door like this, but it looked awesome. They went up and touched his teeth and shit. Like just how that all looked was like, I don't know. I just really love that moment.
I got so hyped watching that. I was like 10 minutes in, like 15 minutes into the episode. And I'm like, this episode's definitely a banger. Kyle and
Yeah.
Dave are right. And terrible detail, but great detail. You know, they say he was alive when they did this to him. On the door, there's so many scratches right where his boots are kind of hanging because the spurs are just, getting the Spurs are destroying the door when he's thrashing about when he's alive getting tortured. And I'm like, that's a horrible, horrible thought to have. But the fact they even put that detail in there with the scratched the door just shows how much they're paying attention and want the show to really go next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just I guess quick shout out to Masima is the character that kind of says like, hey, you're gonna want to see this. Just shout out to Masima's fucking pythons.
Dude,
It looks so good.
Dude, I mean, obviously we've talked about episode 1. We'll bring it up literally every time he's in the show. Just all Last Kingdom fans obviously love seeing him in the show. Citric from the Last Kingdom. I just love that him and Uno are the only guys that roll around with the cutoff. Everyone else is like full kind of like plate armor, almost like down their arms, and
Because everybody got string bean arms. That's why.
exactly.
Dude, he looks
They
fucking
totally-
massive.
Yeah,
He
in the
looks so
costumes,
big.
they were like, brother, you are not wearing long sleeves. Like, you are totally rocking that cutoff.
Veins were pulsing. Pretty sure I could see him twitching on fucking every single one of
Yeah,
them in his
he's
arms
a
with that
beast.
sword swinging.
Two little last details I just want to call out is going to be that Perrin wielding a sword is like super weird. That never happens in the books, to my knowledge. He's just like kind of an axe guy through and through. But obviously, we have this level of trauma associated with the axe at this point. So I'm assuming we're gonna get like a watershed moment where it's like, last resort, like all he can do
Don
is
the
pick up.
axe.
Yeah, it's like pick up the axe. I think that's gonna slap a little bit in the future when that happens. And then the second one is just gonna be that Perrin thinks that Elias is doing something to him. So obviously they're building a level of like kind of antagonism only from Perrin's perspective. Elias doesn't seem like he gives a fuck. He's just like, brother, like it don't work like that kind of deal.
It's
so
interesting that
Classic
he would
Elias.
think. It's interesting that he would think that Elias is fucking with him when he's been dealing with this shit for 6 months now. And it's
I guess
just
it's
like,
the vision thing.
I guess,
Where, like,
yeah.
I
But he
guess
seems
technically
like
it hasn't happened to him. So,
But, like,
which
in
is
in the first
potentially
episode,
wonky writing, but
in the first episode though, it seemed like he was like almost capable of turning it on and off. Like he kind of walked up to the scene and I feel like he purposely like shifted his eyes to look around and investigate everything. I mean, I totally could be wrong. I have no idea,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I'm not really sure, to be quite honest. But
Tiny
Elias
complaint.
does have the line where he's like useful, to know the difference between reality and vision. So
it's just a matter of now, does he have the same abilities as Perrin? Are they just similar and he just understands what he's going through? I have no fucking idea.
we shall see. We get, I guess, a little bit more in that. So we move now to a small fishing village. We're here to kind of spend the night to gather some information. Just a little bit of fun lore thing is there's a lionfish being butchered. Lionfish is just like a classic thing from the books. That's like an animal in the world. Swan's a big fan of using lionfish as metaphors, and she grew up as a fisherman's daughter in Tyr. She may or may not even bring it up in season 1. I didn't go back and parse through every word from every episode to know that. But then the other thing is just that Elias kind of tells Perrin, like, hey, this is like such a weird comment to make, but like in the context of those two, I guess it makes sense. But he's just like, they're not your pack, boy. The Shinarans.
Yeah.
And he sleeps under the stars, basically. And Perrin's like, dude, you're weird. Get away from me.
Yeah. I was like, dude, what the fuck? You want to date me? Is that what you're trying
Yeah,
to say?
yeah.
Like,
We were
you
talking
want
about how Varen has no social skills. Clearly, Elias has no social skills.
telling me I
So-
don't belong with them and telling me where you're gonna sleep tonight. I'm like, all right, Elias, you sneaky little dog. But yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Like why? We didn't see Elias get captured. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the end, I don't believe we see Elias on the beach. So maybe sleeping under the stars, he was able to escape and saw it coming somehow. But yeah, I don't know. That was he's got to work on his social skills a little bit.
Yeah, we bit there. So speaking of sleeping, Perrin is sleeping peacefully when pretty much all hell breaks loose. The town is attacked by the mysterious group, I'm gonna say, that we saw at the end of season 1. So they're kind of finally have popped up. I mean, finally, as in it's only really taken 2 episodes, which isn't that long. But they've kind of reared their ugly faces. This shot of them like leering over Perrin with their helmets, I thought was really good. It was kind of like not necessarily horror inducing, but like it was like, whoa, like that's quite a visual shot. And then it moves, they scare us, and then they fucking slap Massima's, fucking half naked body, just beating this shit out of people right
Dude.
afterwards. So yeah, it was a little fucking candy at the end of it.
This whole battle sequence had amazing choreography. It's hard to follow up The Witcher because The Witcher did have like one of the highlights of The Witcher was how perfect the choreography was. This is a close second for me in battle sequences that I've seen in a long time. Everything about this scene was amazing, especially Citrix / Massima in the beginning, just destroying people in the background without his fucking shirt. Comment on that in a second about the missing shirt for now. But late, like every single one of our boys, including eventually down the line, Loyal and Perrin get moments. Like Ingtar and Uno like had amazing moments. Like all of the, I'm just so happy to see this. I'm getting really, really like hyped now because I know in the future there's going to be so many more battles, and if they can pull off any of these battles to the level that we're seeing here, like we're in good hands, because this is the first time we're seeing a non-magical battle, and like you need to have these sort of details and choreography down, and this was a damn near 10 out of 10 scene for me. The just front to back, the whole battle sequence, the camera angles, the music, like all of it was really good. How we were following Perrin, and just again Massima, hell yeah, that was just amazing.
If Inktar told me to jump off a bridge, I'd fucking jump off a bridge. Like that man is so cool. He's one of the best leaders. Like the whole conversation he was having with Perrin last episode about, just not letting anger guide you, and there's a reason behind everything, and then backs it up with being one of the coolest looking fighters out there, in sync with Uno.
Just how he used the fucking
so good. It's great. Yeah, like you said, everybody got their moment. Loyal just freaking out. I'm a little upset Perrin didn't go full Hulk mode and everything like that with like whatever he did with Valda. But I mean, everybody else really shined here. Besides Elias we didn't see at all during this fighting.
To my knowledge, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my God, the other people come in. These are the people on the ships from last season. The very, very end, they just do a little bit of casting, and our boys go fucking flying.
Yeah.
But when they get woken up to all being dragged to the beach, and that fucking palanquin comes in with not just a regular one, it's like a fucking pyramid, and they're carrying that motherfucker around. Who I thought was the dark one was up there, but actually it's not. I was just, because it's a Forsaken Ishmael, and we assume this is a dark friend that we saw in season 1 with the long fingernails. So I'm like, all right, these are fucking big players. Let's go. What I'm a little nervous for our boys. I'm a little nervous they're gonna die, and all of them aren't gonna make it. But
I mean, she does ask, are they ready? And Shamael says they're gonna fucking have to be.
We're in trouble.
But yeah. I thought that this was the scene that, like, when Perrin's going to help Loyal, I thought he was gonna like look around and he was only gonna find an axe, and he was gonna be like, "Fuck, I gotta use it," type of deal. But as we were just talking about it, I'm gonna put one on the board because this is obviously a change from the books. I hope Perrin gets that fucking axe on the Ingtar's back or whatever the fuck that thing is, because that would be sick. Because Ingtar, we saw he already had a sword, so it's like you don't need both of those. I mean, you're a beast, but you don't need both of those. Give the axe to my boy Perrin.
There's so many thoughts going on here. I mean, I'll emphasize everything everyone's already said already. The fight was just absolutely incredible. Loved everyone getting their moment to kick some butt. It was amazing. Even Loyal too they needed, how many bodies to try and even get him on the ground. Like, and he was, and it still wasn't even enough. So it was great seeing him, Mr. Peaceful, laying some bodies down.
Good, yeah,
when he needed to. But yeah, in regards to the arrival of like Ishmael and this dark friend, so many thoughts were going in my head. Like, what the fuck is happening? Why is the dark one not on the throne? Why is he the left of this like queen woman? And then we find out later that it's Ishmael and it's not even him, but we recognize obviously the distinguished fingernails from episode 1, and
can't miss them.
I already had mentioned this theory to 2 of these guys. I'll just put it on here just for fuck's sake, just in case maybe the show goes this route. But my immediate thoughts were, what if Elayne, I'm sorry.
Elayne.
What if Elayne is the daughter of this woman? Like they're talking about like, oh, Elaine's the daughter heir, and this woman seems to be very regal, and it seems to be a queen in my mind. And I just think that would be an interesting plot point, that Elayne would be the daughter of this woman. And so if maybe down the line, Elayne is a dark friend, or maybe is stuck in a struggle between deciding if she wants to keep going with her mother, or if she wants to continue her friendship with Egwene. I feel like that would be a very interesting plot point. But the only reason I'm not 100% confident in that is because we know that these people are like from a way off land. Like they clearly had to sail here on ships, and we know that the Two Rivers is somewhere that they can walk to. So it's not like these people were coming from that distance. But I still think that would be a great plot twist if Elayne was the daughter of this woman.
See your nails a little bit shorter. So
yeah, Lane's. I mean, Elayne walked in with his fucking long ass fingernails.
It's like, shit. We knew it. We knew it.
You just like you can't do anything clandestine with the fucking signifying trait like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like if you tattooed your whole body and then like robbed a bank naked. Like it's just like you can't hide that kind of shit.
Oh, and the part that I didn't get to say, the shirtless Massima. So if you weren't paying attention, go back and watch. He's fucking everybody up with without his shirt, just in the background. Perrin walks out, and then like a minute later, he walks out with his fucking all the armor on. Had the second to strap up before going out and fighting the end of that battle. Yeah,
deep breath. Yeah, they were fucking kicking ass. One little point that I'll point out is that it's subtle. And I think we'll get more of it, but I think just like identifying the concept that like the woman with the fingernails only spoke to Ishamael, and then when they were addressing the crowd, the woman to the right of her was the one that spoke. So that's a thing.
Okay.
I have no idea what to think of this scene. I mean, they're asking if Perrin and these boys are ready, and then Nynaeve's being asked if she's ready to go in. Like everyone's got to get ready all of a sudden in this fucking episode. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect.
Logain's got to get ready for some Rand talk, baby.
Yeah, it's just like everyone's readying up right now, and I can't wait to see where this all goes. But I just don't know how they're going to get out of this. I really have no idea. Like, are they going to offer them a chance to join the Dark One? Like, I don't think so.
So what I'm thinking about is why they didn't just kill him, why they took prisoners is
right.
Kind of already talked about it last episode. They seem to be the people with the pacifiers in front of them. They're either controlling them or using their ability of the one power. Cause like they said, like the one chick at the end of season 1 finale used Nynaeve and Egwene's power, not her own. So they drew on their power. So I don't know if they're drawing on these pacifier people or just controlling them, but they're crazy and maybe they need more, so maybe they're looking for people that are in touch with the one power so they can control them, and that's why they're taking so many prisoners. Maybe they're creating an army. I don't know, but I'm a little nervous that some of our boys are going to get scratched up with those long talons.
Good thoughts. Good parting shots, honestly, right there.
A comment on the pacifier is interesting in that in the books it's like a chain. You know, it's kind of like a choker type deal. So they made that visual change. To me, it just looks funky because, like you're saying, they look like little babies.
Yeah, they're little shaved heads, little babies.
Yeah, they literally look like babies. So I don't know. I assume / hope that will grow on me, but it's just interesting little change there.
The hockey masks are terrifying.
Yeah.
MVP,
yeah, I'm ready for
LVP?
Yeah.
All right, I started last time, so I'll go last. Who went last? Dave, you did, right?
Yeah, Dave.
I thought I went first.
Dave went last, so I'll go
first
first anyway.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll go.
Dave. You went first for giving your updated top
that's
3.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pull this up. Sorry, I put it down. All right. MVP. Wow, I have options here. I like listed out so many, and I can just choose one, and I get to pick. All right. MVP. I think was pretty obvious earlier. We're just gonna give it to Varen. Like I said, it was just a great character growth for me. I'm really enjoying her character that she's like with the boys now. We know she's Team Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, she's
I guess you can never really 100% confirm that. There's always the chance she could be a dark friend, but I'm just gonna ride or die that she is for Ferda. She's been awesome. And
does that mean you're a brown Aja guy?
No, I'm a fucking dumbass. I would not fit in with brown Ajas. They would just make fun of me for being a fucking idiot.
In season 1 recap, you said you were thinking green Aja because
I'm
bang.
Bang and they're battling. Yeah, that sounds perfect for me. I don't have to use my brains on the battlefield. I just fucking swing my pythons around.
The show has it's been morphing a little bit into like green Aja propaganda almost.
Yeah, it really has been. And then LVP Gotta give it to the one who's been shitting on my boy all episode. Gotta give it to Moiraine. Yeah. Knew we're gonna get some eye rolls on that one. That was pretty obvious. Yeah. Just
I can't believe she fell to third, I guess, to go to me in episode 1. I was like, it feels obvious to me.
Yeah, she has not had a great 2 episodes. I think I said that in the first episode too. She's been a little bit of a swunt, but there's reasons for it though. There's obviously reasons for it. But when you're talking that poorly to my boy, you're gonna take that LVP. So that's where I'm at.
All right. So for MVP, I'll go Rand just because I didn't even know he was making moves. I was thinking this was all coincidence, but
I love that.
After talking through this episode, I'm like, hell yeah, he's not just sitting around. I'm glad he's actually going out and doing something. So
we talked him into MVP status.
Paul learned so much from us having this conversation, which I love.
The dark one, what?
That was fucking great,
dude. I need to be with you guys when watching. And for LVP, I'm gonna go Nynaeve for one, revealing herself to Leandrin. We just talked about that, and because Leandrin, you should have known she was gonna overreact, and then 2, just walking up to the door, not knocking, eavesdropping, and then walking away at the worst second. I absolutely hate that trope. That was a solid mahogany door. You're telling me you could hear Egwene talking like she's right on the other side of it perfectly, like it's not muffled? Get out of here.
All right, I'll go next. MVP is kind of hard for me, to be quite honest. So I'm going to start with LVP. And I will say that this is quite a change. I'm gonna say Elias is my LVP, even though he was just my MVP last episode. Just because Perrin's also my boy, and clearly the standing and staring ain't working. So he's gonna have to go back to the drawing board and work something up here because it ain't working out for him. And then MVP, I'm going to be cheeky and I'm going to take 2 MVPs, and one of them is going to be Massima's left bicep and the other one's going to be Massima's right bicep.
Not Massima, just his guns.
No, just the guns,
I accept okay, it. That's fine.
That's good.
Yeah, obviously Massima was number 1 for me. Then I had Varen as number 2. So my MVP by default goes to Matrin Coffin because he had a great episode. This is the Matt I've been waiting to see on screen. And I liked how, again, I feel like it defines his whole character. Is him just knowing how Leandrin's locking the door and walking away. It was just really fun to see him in this mood because it's been a while. So I thought Matt had a great episode, and I'm looking forward to more from his actor. So Matt's going to be my MVP, and then my LVP is going to be Sir Podrick. The one that was fucking with Rand's friend Errol because he had it coming. Jan, whatever. I don't even care about his name. He's
not even worth the name.
Yeah, but he was a dick, so he was my pick for that.
All right. Does anyone have any parting shots or thoughts?
It's just all these twists that keep coming. I'm not expecting them, and I'm loving every second of them. Like season 1, I mean, looking back, it's just like so obvious that all these things like shouldn't be surprising to me, yet they still are, which is, I think, one of the beauties of this show is that like on a rewatch, it's so obvious, these subtleties. Like it's so obvious that the dark one isn't the dark one. It's so obvious that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. And I don't know
obvious how many to who, brother. I don't know.
Yeah, our guy over there thought it was Egwene the whole time.
Well, I'm just saying on the rewatch at least.
I'm fucking with you.
But it's I don't know how many more twists that like this show can keep providing us.
Endless.
And I know, and it's just I guess I don't expect it with this kind of trope. Like there's usually like 1 or 2 big reveals kind of at the end. Like with The Witcher, there was only kind of 1 big twist. Here we've already had like 3 separate twists that I'm just getting like mind blown. Fine, Witcher had 2 big twists.
As Paul
give him some credit. But Wheel of Time, we're already in season 2, and we have like at least 3. And I've been really loving the show. These 2 episodes are really also emphasizing just how much of the world we still have yet to see. We're getting so many character name drops, so many places dropped here, and I'm just so excited to keep going. And episode 3 is going to be a fucking banger too.
My only parting shot is that this was the best episode of the series. I've thought about that a lot, and I'm going to stand by that we are just all rise, baby. We are fucking there. I said at the end of us watching it, this is potentially has a pathway back to a low S tier show. Because this episode
It might
did
already be
everything for
there,
me.
baby. It's
Yeah,
already there.
Dave thinks it's there.
I think it's
I
there.
loved it.
I agree with you though. I think this was like, I'm not gonna right away. So I'd have to think on it again, but this is definitely a top episode
Top
for me.
two
like top
minimum
two.
for me if I think
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. But like I'm leaning it's the best in the series.
But this episode bumped it from high A to low S for me.
Oh, we got,
Let's
okay,
go.
we'll
We're
see how the
creeping.
show moves.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for every storyline now. You know, before this episode, I didn't know if I really liked a whole lot of Nynaeve and Egwene's training. It was still cool, but like now I'm even more into it, and everything with Perrin and Rand and just the whole crew, Matt. I'm so happy whenever any of them come on screen now.
And just think about this too, right? 14 books. This is about 10% of the way into book 2, and the first 2 books are the smallest books. So that's how far into this series we are. We're basically on like episode 5 of Game of Thrones is how you could view it, of season 1. Like we are just warming up. So like that's what you got to keep in the back of your head too.
Love it.
Yeah, it just makes me happy to hear how much the two of you who have not read the books are really enjoying the show. I think this is definitely the best episode that they've put out. I'm gonna say almost by like, it feels like by a large margin.
I like
me,
Dana's
it's this.
episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's this, and I think episode 3 from season 1
yeah.
for me personally.
We're 4.
I'm still
We're 4.
I'm,
4 was good.
yeah. I'm still in the like cautiously optimistic. Like they're definitely winning me over. Dave and I were talking about this after we watched the episode yesterday. Of like I'm still kind of like my gut reaction to things they do is like, oh, they fucked that up, until like, you know, they comes back around and I'm like, and then they show me, you know, that like, oh, they're actually not making the change that I thought they were making. And like my gut reaction still is like, oh, that changed, like, oh, they fucked it up a little bit, but like they're totally winning me completely back over. Like I am excited to watch these episodes. I am excited to talk about these episodes. Like they're putting up good numbers right now. They're checking a lot of motherfucking boxes for me. We'll see kind of how things develop in the future, but right now I am like unbelievably content with kind of the trajectory and what we've gotten so far. So I'm just stoked.
I feel like I'll feel those kind of same ways about the One Piece live action. Like I'll have those hesitancies while watching, but like still be rooting for it at the end of the day. But I can understand.
Alrighty. That is going to do season 2, episode 2. And I totally forgot the name of it.
Season 2, episode 2, 2-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, Strangers and Friends. That was a long one. I had like fucking 8 pages of notes, so I think we hit everything. If we didn't, and you think you're smarter than us, which you probably are, comment, subscribe, like, DM, Discord, do all that stuff. Interact with us. We would like to talk more about it, obviously. I mean, I could keep talking for hours about this, but we gotta cut it now. Yeah, we're covering One Piece, like Dave just mentioned. We're covering Jujutsu Kaisen. I think we have some other shows cooking up in the background that some other people are trying to latch onto. Obviously, it's a thing that the writer's strike and actor strike is a thing. So once we finish Wheel of Time and things like that, we might pop into older shows. So definitely just join our Discord, talk about, you can even give us suggestions. How about that? And also check out everything we've done before. We've done a plethora of things. We got a lot of good content out there, and we'll keep bringing it to you. We'll be here every Wheel of Time episode. We're not going anywhere unless they really pissed me off somehow worse than they did at season 1 finale. So we'll be here for all of them.
Liam Hemsworth is coming to Wheel of Time, baby.
Liam Hemsworth as Randall Thor. That would be insane. All right, we'll end it on that note. Thank you guys for listening. Love you guys.